to the Publix Tailgate Show. JP Shadrick, Mike Dempsey, and Brian Sexton have all the news and information to get you ready for today's game. The Publix Tailgate Show is brought to you by Baptist Health, Farah and Farah, and by TIAA Bank. The Publix Tailgate Show starts right now.
Good morning. Right out of the gate, you find out I'm froggy. The Jaguars have a distinct opportunity in front of them today. I don't know whether you've noticed, but the AFC South is wide open in 2022. And with a dominant win over the Colts, the Jaguars can take a step forward with the win over the Texans today. Call it, Mike, a statement game. This is a game the Jaguars should win, and they need to win if they're going to, and dare I say it, make a run towards the playoffs this season. Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the Publix Tailgate Show. I'm Brian Sexton. Mike Dempsey is here alongside. Don't forget that today's game is brought to you by Baptist Health and the Jacksonville Orthopedic Institute, the official sports medicine provider of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Good morning, Mike.
Hey, good morning, Brian. I agree with you. This is a must-win game, not in the sense that you're eliminated from anything if you lose it, but in the sense of your fan base's perception of where this team is headed. You've got Josh Allen saying in the postgame last week, we felt like we were the better team against Philadelphia. That's all well and good. We understand there's difficult circumstances. Philly's a good team. You're on the road. But if that's truly the case, this is a game that there's no excuses for. You've got to beat the Texans today.
You know, and I got this distinct sense, and 28 years in that locker room has taught me enough, that this group was like, we're not quite at that next level yet. We thought we were after big wins over the Colts and the Chargers, and those guys learned some things this week. Some very wise players quietly said, we have another step to take if we're going to go where we want to go. And just to get to that step, we have to go beat the Texans this week.
Well, yeah, and it's a team. It's interesting because I think a lot of us felt this way early in the season last year with the opener against the Texans. This is a team we have no reason to be that confident against. They've swept the Jaguars now 4 years in a row.
Right.
They're going to come in here thinking, hey, we've been competitive in every game we played this season. We, too, were beating the Colts down. We just had a bad fourth quarter. This is a team that we have their number. They're going to come in here with a lot of confidence today.
Can I just – yeah, the 8 in a row is it's troubling, right? How about 14 of the last 16 and 19 of the last 22? The Jaguars have lost to the Houston Texans. They have, in 22 seasons now, 21 seasons in the AFC South, they've only won one division title. They have not been good against the division. And if you're going to be a consistent playoff team, you got to get good against the division, which means beating a team that you don't beat very often.
But if you do that today, 2-0 in the division.
Oh, what does it set up for next week?
And we are ready to roll.
Here we go. How about big stories? You ready?
Let's do it.
Let's start with the head coach who states the obvious after 30 years in this league, that the division games don't quite count double, but they are very important. And the South, no matter what you think about teams' records, is a very challenging division.
It's a really good competitive division, you know, and I think the faster teams can start in the division, you know, whether it was me back in the NFC East or now in the AFC South. I mean, obviously an opportunity to get to the postseason is to be able to handle your division games, right? And it's another opportunity for our team to take another step forward, to grow as a team, but also understand that, you know, this is a good football team coming in here. It's going to take a really good week of preparation and practice to get that done.
I tell you what, Mike, it was clear that the coach was trying to keep his team focused. In fact, he said that's his job. But he also understands what this game means.
Oh, big time. Look, you can look ahead and certainly say, hey, we could be 2-0. We could be in great position here in first place, controlling our own destiny, all those things. But to get there, you have to focus on the task at hand. And they've been pretty good at doing that this year. I'm not really that concerned about that. But look, when you talk about this division being tough, I think this is the state of the National Football League. You could talk about what Tom Brady said this week, saying there's a lot of bad football. It doesn't matter why it is. 10 of the 16 teams in the AFC have exactly 2 wins right now, including the Jaguars. So, I mean, obviously with the season to play out, anybody can still make the postseason here.
All right, the quarterback last week tied, actually, an NFL record with 4 fumbles in a game. It hadn't happened since 1978. And he understands the concern, and he wasn't making excuses for the weather. He said, though, he has to keep getting better, and don't we all know that this is a quarterback league?
But really just sticking to our process, what we do when we win. You know, watch the tape like I always watch it. Road games, as soon as I can. You know, our video guys will come around, load up the game on our iPads, and I'll just watch it right there. while we're taking off, kind of the first half of that plane ride, and just kind of take it all in, whether it's a win, a loss, play well, don't play well. Just to watch it, kind of put it to bed in my own head, just so when I come in the next day and we watch it together, I know what we're talking about. I have my notes of stuff, where stuff I need to work on or things that weren't really clean, that we didn't execute well, like all those little things. So I do it the same way when I don't play well, like this week. Same process. I think that's important, just to keep it the same. You can't change what you do just because you win or you lose or you play well or you don't. So I try to keep it the same.
Mike, I'll offer this to folks who are concerned about the quarterback. In October, so 26 years ago of 1996, Mark Brunell threw 5 interceptions in a game against the Rams at the Edward Jones Dome in St. Louis, and he never did it again in his career. He also went on that year to lead the league in passing yards and developed a cohesion with his offense that got them to the AFC Championship game. Now, I'm not trying to make an apples-for-apples comparison, but the really good quarterbacks make these mistakes and then tend not to make them again.
Well, that's the key, right? Let's find out. You'd like to think, well, this is an aberration. The conditions played a factor in it, particularly with the first 2 fumbles in that game. But the only way you know that, Brian, and the only way you prove that is to play more games. And
right.
You can't just wish it away. Hey, it happened. So, if early in today's game, even if they don't turn it over, if Trevor Lawrence gets hit in the pocket and puts the ball on the ground, does that start getting in his head? Does he start getting overly cautious? I don't think it's going to be a problem, but we've got to see it play out.
Well, speaking of knowing what it is, this week Foye Oluokun was in the locker room, and I asked him about the run defense. Look, through 3 weeks, they were the best run defense in football, giving up 55 yards a game. But last week against the Eagles, they gave up 210 yards. So where is it? Is this an aberration? Oluokun wasn't willing to go that far.
It's important to realize that they did do that, so we see what we need to improve on, see what we need to fix, because it's a copycat league. Whatever the Eagles were doing, their little run scheme that they drew up there, it was slippery and wet, but at the end of the day, they ran the ball. So it's important to see that they ran the ball. We pride ourselves on stopping the run, so it's something that we need to fix, and then I think we were putting our most into fixing that for the next upcoming game.
And they have to do it today without Foley Fatukasi, who has become their best interior run defender, the most disruptive player in the middle of that defensive line.
Yeah, no doubt. And certainly saw the impact when he left the game last week. Corey Peters got activated, got pulled up to the active roster yesterday. He's a vet, has been around. Not going to worry about him having mental issues. Look, I don't think it has to be that big of a deal today, because I don't think the Texans are as diverse an offense like Philadelphia is that can really hit you in a lot of different ways.
Right.
If you've got to focus on shutting down Dameon Pierce, I don't think Davis Mills, I certainly don't believe he can do the things that Jalen Hurts does. I know Brandon Cooks has hurt this team in the past, but they're not as loaded with playmakers as Philly was.
Cooks has 3 consecutive 100-yard games, so that'll at least be an issue today. But
the
you're
guy's
right.
got 6 1,000-yard seasons in his career. He's a really good player.
No doubt. All right, speaking of a really good player, we've been talking a lot about the Jaguars' right tackle, Juwan Taylor, who so far this season has been a really strong guy on the right side of that line. Last week, not so much. In the offensive line in general, after allowing 2 sacks in the first 3 games, gave up 4 in the game against the Philadelphia Eagles. And Taylor likes the progress the offensive line has made, but said that this is always going to be a work in progress.
Started in OTAs and then started in training camp. We've just been developing, and everybody's been getting better each and every day, and as a unit and individually. So I feel like we've been getting better, and we're not where we want to be at yet, but we definitely have improved a lot. So we just trying to build blocks each week.
And again, you can point to how talented the Eagles are up front, and this Texans team doesn't have that game record, J.J. Watt, Jadeveon Clowney, but we need to see the offensive line today go back to the way they played, for instance, in Los Angeles against the talented Chargers front.
Right. Jerry Hughes is a guy that throughout his career has been a pretty effective pass rusher, but he's really the one that stands out. You can give help if you need it there. You're right. They don't have guys getting off the bus that you're like, wow, this is really going to be a problem all day long.
Yeah, and when those 2 guys walked onto the field, Clowney and Watt, you're like, yeah, okay, get ready for this. But neither one of them is there, and it brings us back to Andre Sisco and Brandon Cooks. Look, Cooks in 6 games against the Jaguars in the regular season has 5 100-yard games, and he had 100 in the AFC Championship game when he was with the New England Patriots. He has just found a way to get open against this team, but Andre Sisco does not believe that they are going to see the same result this week. No.
They know how to use him correctly, and it pops up on film. And I was here for 2 of the games where he had a lot of yards. And he's just an all-around receiver. Like he's smaller size, but he has good ball skills and things like that. So you prepare for a guy like that the way you prepare for all these big receivers. And he's a wide receiver 1.
All right, so there you have it, the big stories as we kick off the first hour of the Publix Tailgate Show. You know what time it is, Mike.
I do know what time it is.
This is the gold jacket edition of the gold standard of entertainment on the Publix Tailgate Show. Ladies and gentlemen, your attention, please. It's time for Come On Somebody, presented by our friend E.T.
Looky, looky, looky. E.T. done found a cookie. Something like nothing special. A little razzle-dazzle is what I like to call it. Welcome to another edition of Come On Somebody, the 5th edition of the regular season. But who's counting? E.T., what is Come On Somebody? Thank you for asking. Come On Somebody is where I, E to the T, allow you, the wonderful people all across the world, to express yourselves on all things Jaguars. But all I ask is that you say it with your chest. And whatever it is, I want you to grab it from your sternum, that bottom part of your stomach. But enough with the anatomy. I know we just came off an L, but whatever. Like Coach Doug said, so what? Now what? Hey, Houston, we been had pressure for y'all. Let's head to these phone lines and see what's up. Y'all know how the game go. Come on, somebody.
E to the T, baby.
Yeah.
We lost to the Philadelphia Squiggles.
So what?
We got the Houston Tuckins upcoming.
Now what?
Bold prediction.
Give me that.
We run for 230 yards.
I can see that.
Trevor tosses 305.
I can see that too.
4 touchdowns. And we
decimate, dominate, don't hesitate. Yeah, baby, yeah.
Talk to me.
Come on, somebody.
Papa G here.
Hey, Papa G, I appreciate all the love you've shown to the people who were affected by the hurricane. You a real one for real. But what's up?
Let's go messing with some Texans, baby. Jaguars.
Okay, spelling bee champ.
Jaguars. Let's go, somebody. Let's go, everybody.
Let's replace let's go with come on and you got a deal.
We are Jaguars and we are Duval.
E.T. Who Baby here.
Hey, Who Baby, what it do, my boy?
I just want to say welcome, Texas, to the home of the first place Jaguars.
It get lonely at the top, but I like it.
I bet you can't say Duval.
Hey, Who Baby, you brought that Duval from your whole chest cavity. Come on, somebody.
Has signed for it. For inquiries, please press 1 for English.
Nah. On my unpaid invoices, you can please forward that to Mr. Shad Khan, please, and thank you, ma'am.
2 for Chinese.
2 for Chinese?
UPS 国际快递最后一次通知，你有一个快件派送2次。
So that's how you say come on somebody in Chinese. All right, bet. Come on, somebody.
It's about that time.
About that time for what?
To all the ladies in the place with style and grace.
Allow me to lace these lyrical. Yeah. Okay, Biggie.
Stand up for what you love. Get in where you fit in. Duval till we die.
Duval till we die. Baby.
Duval. Go Jazz. Come on, somebody. Yeah.
All right, Duval. Y'all understood the assignment. Now, Jacksonville, let's go get this dub. Come on, somebody.
Just for fun, I would love to hear E.T. live doing a Manning cast of a Jaguars game.
Oh.
Right? Just him and live callers based on what they're saying. Would that not be wildly entertaining?
You know, now that you just put it out there, he'll probably be doing it by next Sunday. Honestly, because that's E.T. E.T.'s an entrepreneur, and he's got the pulse of the city and the fans of the Jaguars. Can't help but love it, man.
Fun stuff. Look forward to it. It's why we get you started in the first hour and the first segment of the first hour here on the Publix Tailgate Show with Come On Somebody. But coming up next.
I think my performance wasn't a surprise to me. I wasn't really thinking about the award itself. I was just thinking about just going out and playing at a high level to the level that I know I'm capable of.
That is the AFC Defensive Rookie of the Month of September, Devon Lloyd. He is this week's Baptist Health Player interview. Plus, Mike sat down with CBS Sports senior writer Pete Prisco. The Texans and Jaguars less than 3 hours away, and you are enjoying the Publix Tailgate Show on Jaguars Radio.
You're beyond busy. Between work and the kids, the dogs and the cat, let us help. With Publix Delivery powered by Instacart, you'll get the items you need from the store you know. Just shop online, select the time you'd like your order delivered, and grocery shopping is done, giving you more time to take care of everything else.
Publix Delivery, powered by Instacart. Visit Publix.com/delivery to shop now. That's Publix.com/delivery. Item prices vary from in-store prices. Service fees may apply. Available in select zip codes. Publix, where shopping is a pleasure.
Touchdown at Jaguars away games when you fly nonstop from Jacksonville International Airport. Join the Jaguars in D.C., Los Angeles. Watch them win in Philly, Indy, Detroit, Nashville, New York, and Houston. When you fly nonstop from Jax, on airport parking will punt the stress from your travel itinerary. Garage facilities offer defensive coverage from the weather and are a 50-yard dash from the terminal. Economy parking is just $6 a day. To learn more about nonstop flights and on-airport parking, visit flyjax.com.
Hey Jags fans, Brian Sexton for Dreamfinders Homes. In a complex housing market, do decisions on the biggest purchase of your life stress you out? At Dreamfinders Homes, they can build the home of your dreams in one of their many communities in Northeast Florida. With a mortgage company in-house, they're here to assist you throughout the entire process. Choose from their wide range of single-family homes or townhomes from the 300,000s. Dreamfinders Homes specializes in homes built to fit your lifestyle. Call 904-590-2545 or visit dreamfindershomes.com.
You've been putting back a few, and a few becomes a few too many. For a moment, you think of calling for a ride, but nah, you live nearby. What's the worst that could happen? You get pulled over, your insurance goes up, you lose your license, you total your car, you kill someone. The results of driving drunk are tragic. That's why law enforcement is out there looking for impaired drivers to save lives. So if you think you're okay to drive after a few drinks, think again. Drive sober or get pulled over.
Paid for by FDOT. We've spent a lot of time in our homes.
I'm on a Zoom call.
Dinner's ready.
But we've learned that when we love our home, it loves us right back. Now you can keep that love going when you install energy-efficient natural gas appliances and earn up to $1,925 in cash rebates. You'll love endless hot water, faster drying and cooking times, and ongoing savings and comfort. To learn more and how to qualify, visit peoplesgas.com/rebates.
Since 1916, Duval Motor Company is here to keep you and your vehicle off the sidelines. Their all-star lineup of dealerships provides superior sales, maintenance, and repairs for every make and model with Ford, Honda, Acura, Subaru, Chevrolet, and everything in between. At every Duval location across North Florida, Duval Motor Company always puts service first. In-store, online, or at your front door. Get service first with DuvalMotorCompany.com. All right, welcome back to hour number one of the Publix Tailgate Show. Froggy Brian here with Mike Dempsey. And Mike, as always, I mean, as much as I look forward to come on somebody, I look forward to hearing Pete Prisco and his thoughts on the Jaguars. So what did he start with this week?
Well, this week, obviously, you couldn't help but reflect on the game Trevor Lawrence had in Philadelphia last week. So, just ask Pete if this was a concern or he thought this was kind of a blip in the road.
Like I said all week, if he had thrown 4 interceptions into somebody's stomach, it would be much more concerning than losing fumbles in the wet conditions. I just didn't think he did a great job of handling the wet ball, particularly on like the one on the outside where looked like he was getting ready to throw to an open guy and it slipped out of his hands, the center exchange. I mean, there were a bunch of things that usually don't happen if the weather's okay. So he's got to learn how to handle the wet football better, but it's not as concerning as if he had thrown a bunch of interceptions to me.
One thing the Jags had been able to count on through the first 3 weeks of the season was a pretty stout run defense. That all kind of came apart against Philadelphia. Some of it was the absence of Foley Fatukasi in the second half, but is this going to be a problem going forward? Dameon Pierce is starting to pick up steam with the Texans running game, Pete.
He is picking up steam. He ran very well last week, ran hard. He's a tough runner, and yeah, that's something because they're not they don't have a lot of depth there. They don't have a lot of big bodies. And so when the guy like Fatukasi goes down, you're going to have problems stopping the run. But it's a different style of run game, too. I mean, you got to have gap integrity, and when you play the Eagles, if you over-pursue, they're going to come back the other way. And we saw that happen a bunch on the tape. I think both linebackers had, rough goes of it last week. Lloyd and Aluakon both struggled a little bit. They have to be better. But, yeah, I think it's more a function of what the Eagles do than just a conventional running game, which is what the Texans do.
Yeah, a lot of people struggled in that game last week. But overall, Pete, Devon Lloyd's had an outstanding start to his career. Josh Allen's been playing well. Christian Kirk, James Robinson. There are a lot of standout performers. Who jumped out at you the most in the first month of the season? The one guy who rose above the rest?
Well, I think Christian Kirk. I mean, again, the bullseye was on him because of the contract, and a lot of people wanted to rip him and say he's not worth it, and how dare they pay a guy that kind of money. And I think he showed people that he could be that guy. I mean, he showed people that he could be productive and catch touchdown passes and be effective in the middle of the field. And, last week's a little bit of an outlier because of the weather, and he didn't have Zay Jones on the field as well. But I think he showed a lot of people that he's closer to being the guy that is worth that money than the guy who isn't.
Pete, the last time the Jaguars went to the playoffs, of course, was 2017. That was also the last time they beat the Houston Texans in December of that year and thrashed them pretty handily. They've lost 8 in a row since. And granted, yes, Jacksonville hasn't been great in that time period, but neither have the Texans. Why has Houston had Jacksonville's number to that degree?
Well, I think it's a division game, so they're always going to be tough. I don't care how bad the division team is, they're always going to be tough, and I think that's factored in a little bit. But aside from that, it's hard to really put a gauge on it unless, Jacksonville takes them for granted because they're not a marquee opponent. But they, look, this is a good situation because you are coming off a loss, and you should be focused. And it'll be interesting to see how this young group gets back refocused against a team they should beat. Do they lollygag through the beginning of the game? I don't think they will. I think they'll get back on track, but I think that has something to do with it. It's just not a marquee opponent. Sometimes you take those guys for granted.
Well, we mentioned Dameon Pierce, and the Texans obviously want to run a lot of the offense through him. What other things concern you about the matchup today that the Texans bring to the table?
Well, one of the things that concerns me with the Jaguars is the lack of sustained pass rush, and by that I mean with their 4. And Josh Allen and has flashed, and Walker's flashed at times, but they're not getting people on the ground as much as they should. And the Texans' offensive line, particularly Tunsil and the left side of the line, has been really good this year. So can they get pressure when if they do stop the run, if they get Pierce, limit him to what he can, get the big plays out of him, then put the pressure on Davis Mills. Can you influence him and get pressure up on the outside, knock down the quarterback? I think that's important because we haven't seen it over the course of the season as much as we would like.
All right, Jags looking to get back on the right side of the win-loss ledger today. Pete, how do you see it going?
I think they'll win the game. Again, it's probably going to be a little bit of a slow start, and they'll figure it out. And I think, this is going to be the moment where Trevor Lawrence has to show people, look, I can bounce back from a bad game, and I think he does. I think he plays well here. I think he hits some shots down the field. I think they move the football. They're better. They're more balanced. I think they run the ball a little bit more. But I think Trevor Lawrence will be the guy that after this game is over where you say, okay, he's that quarterback. He can respond after a bad game.
So there you go, Brian. I mean, we'll find out. As we said with Trevor Lawrence, will the turnover issues be something that plagues him? I don't think that will be the case, but we'll see if he responds in a big way today. But one guy Pete mentioned that we've been a little quiet in the last few weeks is Trayvon Walker, right? Get off to a great start. He's very strong against the run. That's one of his strengths. But today, I'd like to see him help bottle up Dameon Pierce. But if the Jags can get out to a lead, let's get in some obvious pass rush situations. Right. Let's get some hits on the quarterback today.
Well, and it's interesting you bring up Walker because our Baptist Health player interview this week is his other first-round teammate, and that is Devon Lloyd, who was the AFC Defensive Player of the Month in September for an impressive performance with 2 interceptions and 6 passes defensed. Now, he wasn't on the field, Mike, you'll recall, for most of August, and we were left to wonder what he would do when he finally got onto the field. Well, now we know. He's new to this whole division thing, but he understands what's on the line today against the Houston Texans.
Walking into the building, actually all our division opponents are right there, so it's a reminder every day, and coaches preach to us every day just how important they are. So every division game is, a really big game for us.
You'll probably hear this. that the Jaguars have lost 8 in a row to these guys, and 14 of the last 16, and 19 of the last 22. That really means nothing, does it?
Yes and no, because that's the past. But at the same time, we kind of have that in the back of our heads, and it was brought up in meetings. And really, we're just focused on this team right now. Ultimately, when it's all said and done, and trying to go 1-0 every week. So we got them coming into town, and we're put together a game plan. So we're just focused on this week.
I've been really impressed with the focus, the maturity level for the third youngest team in the National Football League. Does that come from the head coach, or does it come from the locker room?
I think it's a collection of everybody. I think Doug does a great job of preaching the right things, and then we have a lot of young but mature guys that receive what he's saying the right way. We have guys that listen, and guys that really just do things the right way. So
I don't want to say that I was surprised, but Defensive Rookie of the Month of September after missing all of last August. Was that a surprise to you that you were able to step onto the field and perform at such a high level so quickly, or did you believe all throughout the month of August that it would come?
Well, I think my performance wasn't a surprise to me. I wasn't really thinking about the award itself. I was just thinking about just going out and playing at a high level to the level that I know I'm capable of, and I know I missed some time, but at the same time, I think that missed time was actually really productive for me mentally, so I don't feel like I took any steps back per se, and I always had confidence in my game.
Your head coach, Kyle Whittingham at Utah, told me on that draft night that the best thing about you, besides the person that you are, is your communication skills, your ability to just go and talk with whoever needs to be communicated with. Is it the same at this level for you?
I believe so, yes. I think that's just something that's a part of me, just being able to connect with people and, just be authentic with people.
Where did that come from?
I'd say growing up, I bounced around schools a couple different times, and so it kind of forced me to break out of my shell and, learn to just open up to other people, and I think, that's something that I learned over time.
A month in, you're 2-2. This seems like a really important game because it's the next game, but also because the division is who you play the next 2 weeks. Does it feel like a big game to you?
Yeah, every game's a big game, especially in this league. Any given Sunday, so every game's a big game, and we're preparing as if it's the Super Bowl every week. So
you really seem to have adapted to life in Florida. Immediately, it seemed like you were out doing clinics, you're out doing things in the community. How's life treating you?
Man, like I was telling you, I'm blessed, highly favored. I just thank God for everything He's done to me in my life, and I just feel grateful to be in this position. I know so many people that just aren't in this position, and this is just a blessing. I look at it, I'm very grateful to be in this position.
Mike, to your point, Trayvon Walker, very important to this defense, getting him going. Same thing with Devon Lloyd. It's amazing how these two young players have become such an important part of this defense in the first month of the season. There was no acclimation. There was no warm-up time. They jumped in, there they were. Jags need that now.
Yeah, couldn't afford to be. And in the case of Devon Lloyd, to win Defensive Rookie of the Month, what more can you do in your debut, especially missing all that time? So he has been integral to the success that they've had in stopping the run, playing the pass well, getting his hands on the football, creating turnovers, And look, Trayvon Walker's out there. He's creating havoc.
Sure.
But those counting stats are lagging behind a little bit, and that'll come, and we expected that. He's got to develop some more pass rush moves and things like that. But, they're both obviously, hopefully, going to be franchise cornerstones for a long, long time to come.
And hopefully both of them get involved very quickly today because, as Mike mentioned, they are playmakers. All right, coming up in 15 minutes, Hall of Famer Tony Boselli, who will receive his Hall of Fame ring at halftime today, and his bust will be here for folks to see. That sounded kind of funny. But he and Jeff Loggeman will join us in the booth. But next,
walking into the building,
Cam loves to compete. Cam loves to go out there and whoop the guy in front of him. And he's done that quite a few times this year already. And if the rest of the unit can take on the mindset of Cam from time to time, we'd be pretty damn good every snap.
That is offensive line coach Phil Rauscher. The Texans and Jaguars coming up at 1 o'clock in Week 5. You're listening to the Publix Tailgate Show on Jaguars Radio.
You're beyond busy. Between work and the kids, the dogs and the cat, let us help With Publix Delivery powered by Instacart, you'll get the items you need from the store you know. Just shop online, select the time you'd like your order delivered, and grocery shopping is done, giving you more time to take care of everything else.
Publix Delivery, powered by Instacart. Visit Publix.com/delivery to shop now. That's Publix.com/delivery. Item prices vary from in-store prices. Service fees may apply. Available in select zip codes. Publix, where shopping is a pleasure.
Hey Jaguars fans, are you ready to talk some trash? Well, nobody talks trash quite like Waste Pro, the official waste service and recycling partner of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Specializing in residential and commercial solid waste and recycling collection, processing, and disposal, Waste Pro is equipped to handle all your recycling and garbage removal needs. For service, call 904-731-7288. Waste Pro, caring for communities and caring for Jacksonville.
Cancer patients across the Southeast make Baptist MD Anderson Cancer Center in Jacksonville their first choice for treatment. Dr. Jonathan Milquist explains why.
We have so many resources that can help a patient from the very onset, and we just have a degree of unity and cohesive care that is hard to match. It's especially with the tougher cancers that we really excel.
Appointments available now. Call 844-632-2278.
At Tropical Smoothie Cafe, one taste and you're feeling good now, smiling wider now, seeing brighter now, bucket dunking now, namasteing now, popping a wheelie now, living lighter now. You're on Tropic Time now. And on Mondays, try our Jaguars Duval Delight Smoothies for $2.99. And you're roaring louder now, end zone dancing now, sipping spirit now. You're on Tropic Time now at Tropical Smoothie Cafe.
Storm season is here, and JEA is doing everything possible to prepare. We've invested millions in hardening our electric, water, and sewer systems to make them more resistant to extreme weather. By updating your contact information and signing up for alerts, you'll also be better prepared if a storm hits. And in the event we need to restore your power, we can keep you up to date on our efforts and get you back to normal sooner. Update your contact info today at JEA.com. JEA, building a more prepared community.
At most sandwich places, asking for more of something is just part of the drill. But what if you never had to ask for more? What if more was just a given? At Daly's, more is what our sandwiches are built on. More meat, more cheese, more veggies, more quality, more taste. All for a price that's anything but more. Sandwiches from Dash, made fresh. Daly's.
Welcome back. Jaguars Game Day Radio brought to you by VyStar Credit Union. Do good, bank better. The Publix Tailgate Show continues. Here in hour number one, the Jaguars and the Texans coming up at 1 o'clock here at TIAA Bank Field. And today's game is brought to you by Baptist Health and the Jacksonville Orthopedic Institute, the official health medicine provider of the Jacksonville Jaguars. And it's time now for our weekly commentary from Rick Ballou.
Enough already. No more streaks. Every week it's the Jags can't win in the Pacific time zone, can't beat an NFC team on the road. Houston owns them. They've won 8 in a row. Nope, no longer. Today is a woodshed game for Jacksonville. That's right, woodshed. Total dominance, and it begins early. Where in the last 3 games, the Jags have scored 16, 17, and 14 points, respectively, in the first half. Been an awful long time since we've been able to say that in Duval. Run the ball. Houston allows 172 yards a game. Run the ball. Stop the run. Rookie Dameon Pierce having a great year, averaging 5.2 yards a carry. Make Houston one-dimensional. Put pressure on Davis Mills. He's already been sacked 11 times this year. Jekyll and Hyde. Yeah, that's been the 2022 Jaguars. At times, absolutely outstanding. And then, bam, self-inflicted wounds where you as a Jag fan, you can say this team should be 4-0. They've had an 8-point lead in every game. Let me tell you that again. An 8-point lead in every game. Today begins the easiest part of the schedule, if I'm allowed to say that. And, Doug Marrone always talked about a phase. Well, the next 4 In this phase, Houston, Indy, New York, that being the Giants, and Denver, the Jaguars have an opportunity to separate themselves in the AFC South. Okay? Jacksonville, big today, 31-10.
Wow. Statement game, woodshed game. Clearly expectations are on the shoulders of this football team.
Yeah, I got to wonder what's going through the minds of the Texans, or their fan base when they hear these kind of things, because I agree with Rick.
Right.
I picked it, I think, 29-16 this week, so basically a 2-touchdown margin. But, again, you read through the dominance of the Texans historically against this franchise, yet it seems like that is the prevailing feeling in the city this week.
Well, you get the sense that the Jaguars are way ahead of the Texans in terms of the rebuild because they have their quarterback, and the Texans are still trying to figure out if Davis Mills is that guy and they're on their way, or if they're still waiting for that moment to happen. I guess we'll find out.
I guess we'll
find out. Hey, the offensive line around here, Mike, is something that we have talked about for years as being okay or on their way to good, but never good enough, right? What's your sense of this offensive line through 4 games?
That it's, I would say, not elite, but better than expected, right? And I think a lot of that has to do with Phil Rauscher talking with Jeff Logman on a weekly basis, really raves about what he's been getting out of these offensive linemen. Obviously, we've seen the best, despite last week, the best we've seen out of Jawan Taylor in a while here. I think Cam Robinson's playing very solid football. You're starting a rookie, but he has not been a liability. I think it's a good with a chance to be maybe very good, but I don't think they're elite, and they're probably not going to reach that point this season.
Right. When you look at some of the numbers, James Robinson is averaging 4.2 yards per carry, and there have been some good holes. Think of the long touchdown run in San Diego. I said it again. In Los Angeles, right? Trevor Lawrence has completed 66% of his passes, and the Jaguars are off to a 2-2 start. Now, you mentioned Rauscher being a key. He believes that communication has become a key as well.
I think they're doing a better job just working together right and left side and then bringing it all together as a group of 5. Luke's done a really good job working with Brandon and the veteran guys and getting them to a point where they feel really good about communication going in on Sundays.
Can we start with Luke? You're talking about a rookie playing the most important position outside of quarterback in a sense because he's the only other guy that touches the ball on every play. How's his progression?
We're really happy with how he's working. He's very smart, detailed in his work. He understands angles and leverage, and really he's putting in the extra time with Trevor and the protections, and that's where we're really happy with where his growth is at right now because he's really getting everybody lined up together and on the same page.
Does a master's in aeronautical engineering translate to football?
He's the smartest guy in the room.
Have you ever worked with anybody with his academic background?
Chase Roulier was a chemical engineer. Yes, to answer your question, yeah, there's been a few that are. That's what linemen are. They're the smartest guys out there. So,
not surprised to hear you say that. But does that sort of really strong academic background translate to football?
It really helps seeing the big picture and being able to correct yourself. Like there comes a time where you have to correct errors, and I'm not always out there to help them, so they can do that on their own out there on the field, and that helps.
2 guys under a lot of scrutiny, if that's the right word, but at least people are watching are your tackles. Let's start with Cam Robinson. He got the big contract in the offseason. What have you seen from him, and what do you see going forward from him?
I see a guy who's developing into one of our leaders. I mean, I think that each Sunday we go out there, he gets better. Each Sunday we go out there, he improves. Each Sunday we go out there, he loves to compete on Sundays, and that's what's important is guys who go out there. And does he make mistakes? Yes, but we all make mistakes. All of them make mistakes, but he's taken pride in correcting those mistakes, and that's what you look for in your leaders in the offensive line. And then Jawan has just continued to improve himself in a way that has been exciting and fun to watch, and he's gotten so much better with his feet and playing with length, and then I think playing with Brandon next to him is really helped his development and what he's been trying to get done, and we've been really excited about that.
I mean, he was a guy who had a lot of penalties the last couple of years, and yet you watch him now, Coach, and he looks like a stalwart over there at right tackle. Again, I'm asking you to look back, to look forward, but did you see this sort of growth in him this quickly?
You always hope for that kind of growth. I mean, you hope that there's things that you saw on his tape that you knew if you can get it out of him every play, he'd be a damn good player. And I think that's where he's at right now. He's turning into a pretty damn good player. So we just got to keep nurturing that and keep moving it along for his growth and our growth and going from there.
When we talked in training camp, I asked you to give me the name of a young offensive lineman to keep your eye on, and you said Ben Barge. So I just want to circle back to that one. It looks like he has gotten better every week since week one.
Ben has continued to grow, just like all of them. And, you know, Ben is playing some good football right now. And in the beginning, you know, speed of the game, being on the road and stuff, there's things that he had to get used to. The only way you get better football is by playing football. So that helps. You know, it helps when he's gotten his reps and he's getting more comfortable with Cam and also with Luke, and it all comes together.
Let's finish with Cam. Ever since he arrived here as a rookie in 2017, the thing that I've heard about him most is the level of competitor that's inside of him, that he wants to win every single play. How important is that for your left tackle and for your offensive line in general as we get into a couple of key games here in the AFC South?
I think it's a mindset that everybody in offense needs to develop. Cam loves to compete. Cam loves to go out there and whoop the guy in front of him. And he's done that quite a few times this year already. And if the rest of the unit can take on the mindset of Cam from time to time, we'd be pretty damn good every snap.
Cam Robinson, I think it's his birthday today too, so happy birthday. Cam, you know, he's an interesting player in that he's tantalizingly good. I mean, he makes these really hard blocks sometimes look easy, and then sometimes he makes the easy blocks look hard.
Look, we brought this up so many times over the years, but Nick Saban told Tony Smith and I that Cam Robinson was the most pro-ready player he had ever graduated coming out of Alabama.
Right.
At the time he did. And I think he's finally kind of putting it all together here. You love what you hear about his mental state and his attitude, because the great ones have that, right? And he doesn't have the ability of a Tony Baselli, but few guys do. But you can have the attitude of a Tony Baselli. You can play mean and nasty out there.
He's an elite competitor. I mean, that when he left the Jaguars roster in 2018 with the knee injury, that was the first thing that Nate Hackett said is, when we don't have a guy like that that's out there fighting for every inch on the field, we're not quite as good. So, you know, whether he was worth $51 million and the guaranteed money they gave him, the Jaguars think that he is. I mean, you talk to their coaches, Phil Rauscher, you talk to the general manager, Trent Baalke. They're really pleased with what they've gotten from him. And, you know, the guy on the other side has raised his level. Juwan Taylor's had some tragedy in his life this fall with the loss of his father over the summer. And in talking to him this week, there's a little fire in his eye, a little gleam, Mike, of a guy who knows what's at stake for him personally.
Well, it's a contract here. Yeah, it's funny how that works sometimes. You get the best out of a guy when that contract's coming to an end.
Yeah, he's one of the good guys in that locker room. Speaking of the locker room, we'll have much more to come in hour number 2. Hey, PRI Productions is the official event production company of the Jaguars, and they have everything you need to bring your ideas to life. Visit PRIProductions.com. At 11 o'clock, JP Shadrick slides in here for hour 2 of the Publix Tailgate show. But before we get to the second hour, it's time for Jeff Lageman and Tony Baselli from the booth. The Texans and Jaguars kick off at 1 o'clock here on the Publix Tailgate show.
You're beyond busy. Between work and the kids, the dogs and the cat, let us help. With Publix Delivery powered by Instacart, you'll get the items you need from the store you know. Just shop online, select the time you'd like your order delivered, and grocery shopping is done, giving you more time to take care of everything else.
Publix Delivery, powered by Instacart. Visit Publix.com/delivery to shop now. That's Publix.com/delivery. Item prices vary from in-store prices. Service fees may apply. Available in select zip codes. Publix, where shopping is a pleasure.
Storm season is here, and JEA is doing everything possible to prepare. We've invested millions in hardening our electric, water, and sewer systems to make them more resistant to extreme weather. By updating your contact information and signing up for alerts, you'll also be better prepared if a storm hits. And in the event we need to restore your power, we can keep you up to date on our efforts and get you back to normal sooner. Update your contact info today at JEA.com. JEA, building a more prepared community.
Hold on. You want me to tell them about Twisted Tea Hard Iced Tea in just 30 seconds? This is impossible. Hey, I'm Billy from Twisted Tea. How can I explain that first sip of cold, smooth, real brewed tea? So good! And the extra kick you get from just the right amount of alcohol? The twist of lemon, Wait, what? We're almost out of time? Oh, shit. Twisted Tea Hard Iced Tea. Look for the bright yellow cans wherever you buy beer.
Twisted Tea Brewing Company, Cincinnati, Ohio. Please drink responsibly.
Cancer patients across the Southeast make Baptist MD Anderson Cancer Center in Jacksonville their first choice for treatment. Dr. Jonathan Melquist explains why.
We have so many resources that can help a patient from the very onset, and we just have a degree of unity and cohesive care that is hard to match. It's especially with the tougher cancers that we really excel.
Appointments available now. Call 844-632-2278.
Hi Jags fans, Walker Little here for my friends at Kingfish Pest Control. Playing offensive line in the NFL, I must block and protect on every down. When it comes to keeping my home pest-free, I expect that same level of protection. So I contacted Kingfish after seeing thousands of positive online customer reviews about their service. I can confirm from personal experience, bugs don't stand a chance getting past Kingfish Pest Control. Do what I did. Reach out to Kingfish Pest Control to protect your home, a proud partner of your Jacksonville Jaguars.
The Land Rover Defender story began with the simple thought of creating an exceptionally capable off-road vehicle, becoming the go-anywhere, do-anything all-terrain machine. Today, there's a new Land Rover Defender, the toughest and most advanced Land Rover vehicle ever. From the beginning, Land Rover knew the new Defender was capable of great things. Motor Trend's 2021 SUV of the Year is just the latest example. Test drive the new Land Rover Defender today at Land Rover Jacksonville on Atlantic Boulevard, or go to LandRoverJacksonville.com. Land Rover, above and beyond.
Wrapping up hour number one of the Publix Tailgate Show. Publix, where shopping is a pleasure. Jaguars and Texans in a big AFC South tilt today. 1 o'clock kickoff, and you'll hear it right here, of course. Brian Sexton, Mike Dempsey, pleased now to be joined by Hall of Famer Tony Baselli and Jeff Lageman for this week's edition of First Rounds on Us. All right, let's start with you, Jeff. This one seems like a simple question for this week's UF Health Delivering Compassionate Care and World-Class Outcomes Finding Solutions segment, and that is, how do you solve what ailed the Jaguars' run defense last week in Philadelphia?
Well, it's a great question, Brian, and first let me say this. I'm glad to hear your voice is at full strength this morning.
I'm faking it, Jeff.
No, you're doing good. You're doing good, Brian. And by the way, Brian did the introduction
emceed it last night
for the showing of 71 for the former players and a gathering of other people, and it was awesome. Great job, Brian. And Baselli spoke after that and was very, very well spoken again. Tony did a great job with that. And, Brian, it's a great question about stopping the run. Philly racked up like 210 yards, and the Jaguars were previously allowing 55 yards. And for me, it always starts up front. And this Jaguars group of big guys up front in the previous games were absolutely dominant. You know, Roy Robertson-Harris, Devon Hamilton, Fatukasi, I mean, they were kicking rear ends. And the Philadelphia Eagles, I thought Tony had a really good game against those three guys. And then when those three guys up front gets pushed around with an offense like the Eagles had, it was tough on the linebackers because they were indecisive.
Well, they were indecisive. I don't think their fits were great, Jeff. And I thought they got caught looking and being hesitant and slow to the ball, that being the linebackers. But Jeff's right. I mean, you got to win up front, and you got to get off blocks. Now, the good news is, last time I checked, Jason Kelsey and Lane Johnson do not play for the Houston Texans. And probably most importantly in the run game is Jason Kelsey, because he makes that Eagles run game go. Yeah, he's able to get up to the next level. He's so physical. I mean, so you got sometimes you just got to tip your hat to the guys you're playing. And the Eagles did a great job. They beat us up front. Now, and so I almost like that a little bit, because Roy is waiting to get out there.
Oh, yeah.
And because he's not happy how he played. And Gotsis is going to get a chance to really go play a bunch because of Fatukasi's situation. I think, Brian, you're going to see this front have a really good game. I think they're going to get after the Texans' offensive line.
Well, and Brian, he brings up Gotsis. Let me bring up another name, Corey Peters, who was activated off of the practice squad. I mean, how convenient is it since the world of COVID entered the National Football League to where you can pull a guy in his 13th year off the practice squad and elevate him for a game day like they're doing today? I mean, Corey Peters is a good football player.
Well, Jeff, it's good. You know what? The positives out of COVID, which is, it's hard to say. I think it's good for the NFL the way they changed, and it's good for the players.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because you have more players be able to hang around longer.
More paychecks.
It's good for the team because you get to keep veterans who are good players around that will help you in a pinch win a football game. And so I'm glad that they made the change. I'm glad they kept it that way. And it's big that you can have a big man, because that's the one thing that the Jaguars aren't up front. They're not big and deep. They just are not, now they're big men for everyday life. But when you talk about defensive linemen in a 3-4, outside of Fadakasi and Robertson-Harris, and then in the middle, Devon Hamilton, we don't have a lot of size in the backup. So getting, Corey Peters, who's 330 plus. I mean,
335.
He's a big man. I think that'll help.
All right, guys, so this run defense that we're talking about is going to face off against Dameon Pierce today. A pretty impressive rookie who's gotten better pretty much every week so far in the first month of the season. When you watched the Texans this week, what did you see from him?
Well, first of all, a physical back that doesn't go down easy. And I think that's the impressive thing. And watching the film, I was sitting there going, man, there's not many guys that are bringing him down with the arm tackles. And so then, you watch the end of the game, and then you go back and you kind of look at some of the statistical data, and it was impressive in that he had 131 yards rushing on only 14 carries last week, and he had the big 75-yarder, which put his speed on display. But he had 6 broken tackles, and 100 yards of the 131 that he gained in that game, according to PFF, Pro Football Focus, were gained after contact. And that's the concern, because last week the Jaguars had 18 missed tackles against the Philadelphia Eagles. There were a lot of guys that were going for the ball, and look, I like the mindset and that you want to make sure that you can get an opportunity at getting that ball out, but sometimes you got to make sure that you bring the ball carrier down and the second guy in worry about knocking the ball out. But Mike, great question. He's a really good football player, and he is the main engine of this Texans offense, because Davis Mills, I think, is an average quarterback at best.
Yeah, I guess the thing that jumps out at me is, why didn't the Florida Gators run him more last year?
Yeah, great question.
Everyone's been asking that.
Holy cow, the kid can play. He's a big physical back who has speed. And he is the engine for this Texans team. Jeff said it. I mean, Davis Mills is not playing as well as he did his rookie year. His accuracy is not at the same level, and that's an issue.
Sorry about that, Tone. How do you guys see Trevor Lawrence bouncing back after the 5-turnover performance last week?
I think it's going to be interesting. First of all, I think he's going to bounce back. I mean, look, I think Trevor Lawrence is wired the right way. He's got a level of maturity that's rarely seen with a 23-year-old. And so I don't have a concern about that. But the reality is that you want to make sure, or try to make sure, that he gets some early success if you're the coach, to get him maybe some easier completions early on to kind of just ensure that his confidence is intact, and that the confidence around him with his football team is intact as well.
I think he's going to be fine. I really do. I think he's going to jump. I don't think it'll bother him one bit. It's not like he threw 5 picks. I mean, he had fumbles. It was wet. Situation happened. 2 of them were sack fumbles that, offensive line needs to do better.
Yeah, that can happen.
Offensive line needs to do a better job. And I'm not excusing the ball security, because that's important at every position. But it's not like he threw 5 horrible picks and he's in the back of his mind going, oh gosh, can he pull the trigger? I just think Trevor Lawrence will be fine. I don't think it's going to be an issue at all, Mike. I expect him to play well today.
Yeah, the second worst performance in a game in the National Football League by a quarterback this year was Trevor's performance in Philadelphia. The only one that was worse was Joe Flacco's game that he had a couple weeks ago.
Don't want to be in that company anymore. And maybe 10 years ago, that would have been okay. Guys, look, James Robinson's been really good this year. Travis Etienne waiting for that kind of breakout performance. The Texans are a team that teams have just had a ton of success running against. And after a game last week when a lot of people questioned whether they should have stuck with the run more, do you sense that this is a big run game day, and do you sense that Travis Etienne's breakout performance is coming?
Well, I think it's a big run game, but maybe not as much as maybe people think. Look, the Jaguars wanted to run the ball last week, but this is a pass-first offense. I mean, I think that we've got to come to that realization, and that they believe in throwing the football around the yard, and then when they start putting first downs together and not having 3 and outs, that then the number of runs are gonna go up. And so the Jaguars would like to see that happen, but, make some first downs in this game. And the Texans are not very good on defense at stopping the run, second worst team in the National Football League. So you're going to want to do some things that get their attention towards the running game, and then maybe hit them down the field. And then on the other side of that, as we said, the Texans' engine is their young running back.
Well, and I think, Mike, the other thing is, if you want to run the ball as an offense, you have to earn the play caller's confidence. And what I mean by that means early in the game you got to go show him that the offensive line and the tight ends are effectively, not that you're getting 5, 6, 7 yards a pop, but you're executing, you're creating some movement, you're getting after, you're being physical. So a lot of times I put the onus on the offensive line and the tight ends early in games to set the tempo and send the message to your play caller. In this case, head coach Doug Peterson's like, hey, we can run the ball today. You can trust us to call it on, on 2nd and 8. You don't have to throw it every time. We can go get 4 or 5 and set us up in the right situation. So, the Texans are no good against the run, but ultimately it's going to be up to the offensive line and the tight ends early to set the tone.
Yeah, and if you can run the ball early, in this ball game, and to get the Texans a little bit overly concerned about the run, we know that the great way to get explosive plays in the passing game is with play action. And the Texans' worst defense in the National Football League. They have allowed like 50 explosive plays on the season. And in the passing game, 29 of them. So hopefully the Jaguars are able to attack that aspect and the weakness of the Texans' defense.
Tony, quickly, if you would, you're getting your Hall of Fame ring presented today. You've got alumni from the Jags in town. I know it's not the same necessarily as getting inducted in the Pro Football Hall of Fame, but what has this week been like for you?
Well, it's been great. I mean, Jeff will tell you the same thing. We love Alumni Weekend. You get to see a lot of friends that you haven't seen for a while, ex-teammates and so forth. And I think it makes it even more special this week because of the ring ceremony. And for me, everyone heard, or a lot of people heard the speech, and Canton, obviously, family is important to me. And that was fun to celebrate with family and coaches and ex-teammates and a bunch of Jags fans who made the trip. I view this as the celebration with the city and the celebration with the 55,000-plus fans that are going to be in the stands today. And so that's what I'm looking forward to more than anything, Mike, is just, the 2 or 3 minutes I have to share a thought or two is just to, let this crowd, let this fan base, let this city know how much I appreciate the support I've had since day one in '95 when I showed up here.
Right back at you, brother. I'm sure they feel the same way.
All right. Thanks, guys. Appreciate it. Have a great call today. Mike, hour number 1 in the books. You have 2 more to go.
You made it.
I made it. Now I got to go save it for the in-game stadium show. And just as someone who's been here since October of 1994, I'm really excited for the moment at halftime today because I think it is a celebration of the franchise. As much as anything
Let's
else.
do it with a 21-point lead,
Let's do it. That'll make it fun. All right, JP Shadrick is in here next. Jaguars and Texans coming up at 1 o'clock. This is Jaguars Radio.
You're beyond busy. Between work and the kids, the dogs and the cat, let us help. With Publix Delivery powered by Instacart, you'll get the items you need from the store you know. Just shop online, select the time you'd like your order delivered, and grocery shopping is done, giving you more time to take care of everything else.
Publix Delivery, powered by Instacart. Visit Publix.com/delivery to shop now. That's Publix.com/delivery. Item prices vary from in-store prices. Service fees may apply. Available in select zip codes. Publix, where shopping is a pleasure.
You've been putting back a few, and a few becomes a few too many. For a moment, you think of calling for a ride, but nah, you live nearby. What's the worst that could happen? You get pulled over, your insurance goes up, you lose your license, you total your car. You kill someone. The results of driving drunk are tragic. That's why law enforcement is out there looking for impaired drivers to save lives. So if you think you're okay to drive after a few drinks, think again. Drive sober or get pulled over.
Paid for by FDOT.
Frank Frangie here. When you want barbecue in Jacksonville, you want Bono's Pit Barbecue. You can find Bono's locations all around town and on game day at TIAA Bank Field because Bono's is the official barbecue of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Bono's is currently expanding its brand with franchise opportunities throughout the Southeast and beyond.
Over 70 years of authentic Southern Pit barbecue and owning your own business are a great combo. Go to bonosbarbq.com to learn more or call 904-880-8310 today. And remember, if you don't see a pit, it ain't legit.
Touchdown at Jaguars away games when you fly nonstop from Jacksonville International Airport. Join the Jaguars in D.C., Los Angeles. Watch them win in Philly, Indy, Detroit, Nashville, New York, and Houston. When you fly nonstop from Jax, on airport parking, we'll punt the stress from your travel itinerary. Garage facilities offer defensive coverage from the weather and are a 50-yard dash from the terminal.
It's a really good competitive division.
Parking is just $6 a day. To learn more about nonstop flights and on-airport parking, visit flyjax.com.
You say there's nothing quite like the feel of the open road when you ride a motorcycle. You know it takes concentration, knowledge, and skills beyond those required to drive a car. Ride Smart Florida would like to take this opportunity to remind you to enjoy the road, but to always ride smart. S-M-A-R-T. Say no to drinking and riding. Make yourself more visible to motorists. Always wear your helmet. Ride in control. Train regularly and get endorsed. Visit RideSmartFlorida.com for more details. Do you ride smart? This message is provided by the Florida Department of Transportation.
The Land Rover Defender story began with the simple thought of creating an exceptionally capable off-road vehicle, becoming the go-anywhere, do-anything all-terrain machine. Today, there's a new Land Rover Defender, the toughest and most advanced Land Rover vehicle ever. From the beginning, Land Rover knew the new Defender was capable of great things. Motor Trend's 2021 SUV of the Year is just the latest example. Test drive the new Land Rover Defender today at Land Rover Jacksonville on Atlantic Boulevard, or go to LandRoverJacksonville.com. Land Rover, above and beyond.
The Publix Tailgate Show continues right now.
It is hour 2 of the Publix Tailgate Show and week number 5. The Jaguars and the Houston Texans coming up. Jaguars at 2-2. The Texans 0-3-1. Today's game presented by Baptist Health and Jacksonville Orthopedic Institute, the official sports medicine provider of the Jacksonville Jaguars. JP Shadrick with Mike Dempsey and Ashlyn Sullivan jumping in with us as the Jaguars come back home to face a division rival. And they're in first place, everyone. Hey, enjoy this one. Keep winning football games. Stay at the top of the table, if you will, in English terms.
Boy.
And here we are, Jaguars 2-2, Dempsey.
Yeah, look, 2-2 in a league where it seems like everyone's got 2 wins right now, right? So they're right in the thick of it. 10 teams in the AFC out of 16 right now, Ashland, have exactly 2 wins, and that includes the 2 teams that played on Thursday night. But look, the Jags have it all out in front of them. They've got a home game in the division against a team that I feel they should beat today. And you go on the road against a team that is not playing very well that you already whipped up on a few weeks ago, and you got a chance to get to 3-0 in the division, but you got to take care of business today.
Yes, and I think that's the key is everyone is asking, okay, well, the Houston Texans, you got to beat them. But I think we've seen with the Jaguars in the past how they handle business when they have to handle business. Is this the Jaguars of week 1 and week 4? Or are these the Jaguars of week 2 and week 3? I think today's game decides that.
All right, Jaguars Game Day Radio is brought to you by ViStar Credit Union. Do good, bank better. Here are some of today's top stories, and we start off with divisional play, continuing for the Jaguars against the Texans. The Jags in first place in the AFC South, but with back-to-back divisional games coming up, head coach Doug Peterson knows the importance of starting fast.
It's a really good competitive division. The faster teams can start in the division, whether it was me back in the NFC East or now in the AFC South. I mean, obviously an opportunity to get to the postseason is to be able to handle your division games, right? And it's another opportunity for our team to take another step forward, to grow as a team, but also understand that, this is a good football team coming in here. It's going to take a really good week of preparation and practice to get that done.
Texans today, Colts next week on the road, 1 game at a time, but it would be nice to be 3-0. And Cam Robinson agrees, the Jaguars left tackle. These division games are huge. In the locker room, they understand it.
Back-to-back division games are huge. I think everyone on the team kind of knows the magnitude of these games and the magnitude of division games. And, if we come out and we win the division, we know what that comes with. So, I think every week we're laser focused and we're locked in, but we understand the importance of those division games.
Think about the difference in tone from the last year or two around here to today. and they're talking about division titles and going to the playoffs and that kind of mindset. It's always been on the wall in the hallway, the division games and what date those games are. But, you've known fairly quickly, at least early in the season, that it's going to be difficult to compete. Well, this team believes, Mike.
Well, because they've shown it, right? I mean, typically in many of the last 13 years, they've been 1-3, maybe 0-4 at this point in time, or certainly Ashland wouldn't have two as impressive of victories as they had back-to-back, as you pointed out, over the Colts and the Chargers, where they showed they could play dominant football. And the other losses were ones where they felt like they were the better team that day. Now, you can argue who's the better team, the one with the most points at the end of the day, but it wasn't like the Jags weren't competitive. They had leads in every game this year, so yeah, they should feel differently than they have in years past.
Absolutely, and I think you control your own destiny here with the division. If you beat the Texans today, you feel good about beating the Texans the second time. You've already shown you can beat the Colts. Now the Colts will be somewhat healthier when you see them next week. The biggest question mark to me, and it always will be, is the Titans, and you don't play them till very late in the season.
It's always seeming to come down to the Titans and the Jaguars, those two big games late in the season. Quarterback Trevor Lawrence had 5 giveaways last week, an interception and 4 lost fumbles. The Jaguars lost the game, but the Jags quarterback knows they're close to getting some things done.
I think the positive is, seeing how well we can play and how good we can be when we don't make mistakes, and we don't shoot ourselves in the foot, we don't turn the ball over, when we play in sync, when we complement each other offensively and defensively. I mean, you saw us jump out of that lead early, and it's just, being more consistent and doing that throughout the game. We've done that the 2 weeks before. That's kind of what we did, and you saw the end result. And then this week, did that early and just didn't finish. So we know we're heading in the right direction, but it's just about consistency.
Ashland, they had a 14-0 lead, and then the red zone interception. It could have been 21 at that point, and that would have been a totally different feeling game. But the turnovers happened, fumbles happened. It was a wet field. All that happened. But they still had the ball in their hand, down 8 with a chance to go tie, even with everything that happened.
Yeah, and just the mistakes that did happen felt like, oh my gosh, you keep shooting yourself in the foot. And truthfully, in the third quarter, I felt like the Jaguars were going to be out of this game. And you're so right. They came back, and to the point where I'm grabbing my microphone in Philly thinking, are they going to go win this? I better get ready. And then the interception happens. I know you're not supposed to say this, but the rain lost them that game. It was awful on the field. And I don't foresee Trevor Lawrence having 4 fumbles again in his career. I don't know if I should say that, but yeah, it was that bad, the conditions. And I think it's just a game that you write off.
Yeah, you can't. Look, Philly played in those conditions as well. So, I mean, look, they won the football game. I think it's one thing for us and the fans to go, hey, all these things happen. Jags had the ball with a chance to go down, at least send it to overtime late in the football game. I don't think the players can afford to think like that. And I don't think they do, by the way. I think they have to look at that like, wow, this is a completely missed opportunity. We don't get anything positive out of this. They already know they can play good football. You got to play winning football. So that means, not making those critical mistakes. And JP, you're right. Up 14-0, there's so many things that could have happened. They could have hit Jamal Agnew, or Trevor could have on that deep ball, just missed him there. Just don't drop it on 4th down. I mean, but
the list is long.
We just got an Ashland guarantee, though, that he'll never have 4 fumbles again in his career.
It was that ugly.
I feel pretty strong that's
I like that.
Safe for a while at least.
My gosh.
Let's hope not.
It was just a train that kept on rolling. It wasn't pretty.
No, it was not. Offensive coordinator Press Taylor and the coaching staff emphasizing ball awareness in the pocket, of course, this week.
You know what happens. Quarterbacks, you get hit in the pocket, you're extended, you're ready to throw the football. Something happens from time to time. We want to do everything we can in our power with the drill work, with just emphasizing, showing him good, showing him bad. He understands that, and that's something he's working to correct for himself as well.
And give this offensive staff, of course, Doug Peterson pulls the trigger on plays during the game. Press Taylor is behind the design of a lot of this stuff, and Trevor Lawrence is involved later in the week to check some things off the list he may or may not like. It's a group effort to put this offense together, but this guy's running open. You just got to go execute and hold on to the football and then execute throws. But we've seen it a few times this year, Ashland, that guys are open. You just got to hit them.
Oh, yeah, and I think what was impressive last week with Zay Jones not playing is getting Jamal Agnew included so quickly and included in such a creative role where we saw him make an immediate impact in that game. I think this offense runs best when Christian Kirk and Zay Jones are on the field, but Jamal Agnew is a really nice compliment. And to scheme him up so quickly, I was impressed by that last week.
Yeah, it's a luxury that they have him, and he can play as well as he has. It's still remarkable that, 5 years ago, he was a defensive back, and they just decided, I guess I'll switch at the pro level to becoming a wide receiver, and he's really good at it. But I think, JP, we've noticed all season long that there's a difference to this play calling, to the scheming, that guys are getting open. Yes, sometimes Trevor Lawrence has missed some open guys, but guess what? He has open guys to miss, and he's not missing all of them. And, we're seeing well-conceived plays on third down that they throw short of the sticks, and it's not a little turnaround button hook, and then you got to start your momentum. They're hitting guys in stride, setting up, whether it's Evan Ingram, Zay Jones, to outrun their man to the sticks, and they've been successful doing that. So I think it's been very easy to notice the upgrade in play design this year.
Now to the defense. They gave up 210 yards rushing last week in Philly, and Roy Robertson-Harris said the team moved forward quickly from that losing result.
The same day. We obviously moved on, and we're preparing for Houston, so I'm excited, man. You get humbled in the league. We played and obviously lost the game, so we got to come back and play how we know how to play defense.
More from Roy coming up in just a moment. This is a Philly team that ran all over them last week. It's a Houston team historically that likes to run, and certainly this year. New running back, Dameon Pierce, Mike, can get some things done, and that might be what they hang their hat on down there today.
Oh, it's got to be. Look, he's gotten progressively better, more productive at least, every game so far this season. And talking with Jeff Logman, he says, watching him on film, it's obvious he's a physical runner that's going to finish the play, but he showed you last week that he's got a little bit more long speed than maybe had been described as he took 175 yards up the sideline. I thought a defender had the angle on him, and he ran right through that angle. So you got to be careful if you get him in space as well. He can take it the distance.
And, Ashlyn, it's a little different feel this week. Last week they had to account for a running-style quarterback in Jalen Hurts, and a couple guys in the locker room this week said, maybe we were overthinking a little bit because of that. This one doesn't feel the same this week.
No, it's totally different. And I think you'll see similar to last week, maybe the Ravens game when you're trying to defend Lamar Jackson. There's very few quarterbacks who would have that similar style. So I think you can write that off this week, but it's the story of the AFC South. You got to stop the star running back on every AFC South team, and they've done a pretty good job of that. This is no different. This Texans team, you have to stop this running back. If you do, you probably win.
Brandon Cooks, the Texans' biggest threat at wide receiver. He has pretty much made a career against the Jaguars with a few different teams, regular season and actually a postseason appearance as well. Cornerback Shaq Griffin on why Cooks stands out.
It's nothing too spectacular. It's nothing he's doing that a lot of people can't do. It's just he's doing everything right in that system that he's in. He's being the leader that he has to be. Anybody who's consistent in this football league can do a lot of great things.
Yeah, so we'll see if they can slow him down today on the outside.
The thing with him is he's been in all these different systems, and he always produces, right? I mean, 1,000 yards with 4 different teams. Only Brandon Marshall's the only other receiver to ever accomplish that feat. 6 1,000-yard seasons in his first 8 years. Brandon Cooks is no joke now, and he's hurt the Jaguars in the past.
Yes, big time. I have horror stories of standing on that Texans field and hearing his name what feels like 20 times, and it's very similar to the Colts with Michael Pittman. He just has the recipe to beat this Jaguars team, and truthfully, some games it felt single-handedly. So, yes, stopping the running game and stopping Brandon Cooks today are absolutely key.
There you have it. Some of today's top stories. We'll revisit some of those in Countdown to Kickoff coming up at the top of the hour at 12 noon before the 1 o'clock kickoff time today. Ashlyn, you had a chance at the end of the week to visit with Roy Robertson-Harris this week and off the field. He seems like an interesting guy. The more we're getting to know him in the locker room, what did you guys discuss on the golf cart?
Yes, he has a lot of personality, a very loud personality, so we had a lot to discuss. It was a very long golf cart ride, and he decided to drive this week, which is, I think, against the rules, but I was not going to tell him, no, you can't drive. He said with a statement, I will be driving today, and I said, okay, so let's take a listen.
Feeling good, feeling confident. Everybody's just excited to play. Everybody's working, taking a day at a time.
Do you kind of feel this brewing, though? Because everyone on the outside is starting to talk Jags.
Absolutely. You see all the love around the city. Everybody's excited for us, and they're ready to see us win games, and the city's behind us. Everywhere you go, they're showing a lot of love.
Because I've asked other players in the locker room, do you feel the national attention of the Jaguars, getting more attention and brewing? And most of them said, we don't pay attention to that. And I love how Roy said, absolutely, of course. How could you miss this?
It's a good feel around here right now. How many people did he almost hit on the golf cart? I need to know this.
I said 19, which I was like a little emotional because I was very frazzled. It was actually 3. like he was so in depth with his question thinking and answering that he would like pull up and almost hit someone on the heels, and it was like, oh, get out of the way. And I was like freaking out in the passenger seat.
Wow.
Yeah, you should watch it. It's entertaining to say the least.
It is entertaining. Have you seen this, Mike?
I have not seen it yet, but I gotta admit, I'm like Roy. I gotta drive. I'm not riding in that passenger seat in the golf cart.
Even in an interview when you have to think of your answers?
Never been in that position before,
We'll
but I'm gonna default to nope. I'm behind the wheel. That's how I roll.
Yeah, we asked nicely, and I was like, oh no, I'm the host, so I normally drive, so it can be about you. And he goes, no, I'm driving.
Okay.
Well, you're learning about him right there.
You got it, Roy. Anything you'd like. Where can we find this interview, Ashlyn?
It is on Jaguars social media and Jaguars.com right now, so check it out.
Every week. Check it out. She rides a golf cart around with the
I
Jaguars.
hope I'm driving next week, but I might have lost my job. Who knows?
We'll see. If you're back next week, welcome back. If not, nice working with you. That's Ashlyn Sullivan. Catch her on Jags Drive Time on Jaguars.com and the Jaguars social media channels, Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube 3 times a week at 9:30 a.m. We're about 15 minutes away from the inactives. Up next, though, the best of wide receiver Zay Jones with the media in the locker room this week. The Texans and the Jaguars coming up at 1 o'clock. And from TIAA Bank Field, this is the Publix Tailgate Show on Jaguars Radio.
You're beyond busy. Between work and the kids, the dogs and the cat, let us help. With Publix Delivery powered by Instacart, you'll get the items you need from the store you know. Just shop online, select the time you'd like your order delivered, and grocery shopping is done, giving you more time to take care of everything else.
Publix Delivery, powered by Instacart. Visit Publix.com/delivery to shop now. That's Publix.com/delivery. Item prices vary from in-store prices. Service fees may apply. Available in select zip codes. Publix, where shopping is a pleasure.
Committed to the team. Committed to the mission. At Navy Mutual, we're committed to providing high-quality life insurance to members of the military and their families. So our policies have no fine print and no military service restrictions. We don't work on commission. We're nonprofit, so we pass the savings along to our members. Because at Navy Mutual, our highest commitment is to you. Visit NavyMutual.org. Navy Mutual, insuring those who serve.
The original pizza logs are a proud partner of the Jacksonville Jaguars and available at the stadium on game day. You'll find those delicious gourmet pizza egg rolls at concession stands, clubs, and suites. For all their products, be sure to check out pizzalogs.com and have them delivered right to your home. That's pizzalogs.com.
Put down the burger, put down the dog. Pick up the original pizza log. There's only one. The original pizza log. Yeah.
Storm season is here, and JEA is doing everything possible to prepare. We've invested millions in hardening our electric, water, and sewer systems to make them more resistant to extreme weather. By updating your contact information and signing up for alerts, you'll also be better prepared if a storm hits. And in the event we need to restore your power, we can keep you up to date on our efforts and get you back to normal sooner. Update your contact info today at JEA.com. JEA, building a more prepared community.
The creamiest, dreamiest soft ice cream you get from Mr. Softee. For a refreshing delight supreme, look for Mr. Softee. The milkshakes and the sundaes and the cones are such a treat. Look out for the ice cream stand, enjoy it from your seat. The creamiest, dreamiest soft ice cream you get from Mr. Softee. For a refreshing delight supreme, look for Mr. Softee. SOFTEE, Mr. Softee.
At Tropical Smoothie Cafe, one taste and you're feeling good now, smiling wider now, seeing brighter now, bucket dunking now, namasteing now, popping a wheelie now, living lighter now. You're on Tropic Time now. And on Mondays, try our Jaguars Duval Delight Smoothies for $2.99. And you're roaring louder now, end zone dancing now, sipping spirit now. You're on Tropic Time now at Tropical Smoothie Cafe.
From TIAA Bank Field, this is the Publix Tailgate Show. We're inside 2 hours from Week 5. The Houston Texans at 0-3-1. The Jacksonville Jaguars at 2-2 coming up. Kickoff at 1 o'clock here at the bank today. It's Legends Weekend. Tony Boselli will receive his Pro Football Hall of Fame Ring of Excellence in a halftime ceremony today. The screening of the 71 documentary right now in Daly's Place. They just started at 11 o'clock today. The premiere was last night. Things went well. It should be on the YouTube channel coming up fairly soon also. If you haven't, I don't think many people have actually seen it yet. I'm looking forward to seeing it also for the first time. But a lot of alumni players back today, so a lot going on around the bank, and should be a perfect day. In fact, picture-perfect day for football here in Jacksonville. Mike Dempsey, let's look around the NFL.
All right, let's do it. We got a game in progress over at Tottenham Hotspur Stadium in London, and the New York Giants, despite already putting Sterling Shepard on IR, being without Kenny Golladay this week, Kadarius Toney, and Wan'Dale Robinson, four probably their top receivers, are hanging around with the Green Bay Packers right now. Aaron Rodgers has thrown a couple of touchdowns, 147 yards on 18 of 24 passing, including the 38th career scoring catch from former Jaguar Mercedes Lewis coming earlier today. Alan Lazard also has a touchdown catch for the Packers. Randall Cobb, 5 catches for 76 yards, leading the way. Not much going on the ground there. Saquon Barkley has run it 12 times for 68 yards for the Giants, but maybe the biggest play was when he pitched it on part of a double reverse to Daniel Bellinger, who came on an end around and scored the Giants' lone touchdown. A couple of field goals. They are down 20-13 right now to Green Bay with about 8 minutes remaining in the third quarter. Elsewhere around the National Football League, the NFL and the Players Association announced in a joint statement yesterday that while, quote, the step-by-step process outlined in the concussion protocol was followed, the outcome in this case was not what was intended, end quote, during Miami quarterback Tua Tagovailoa's concussion evaluation during the Dolphins game against the Bills on September 25th. In response to the investigation, the league's concussion protocol has been modified. The new protocol goes into effect immediately. The NFL and NFLPA announcing that the specific change to that protocol is the diagnosis of ataxia has been added to the mandatory no-go symptoms that determine whether or not a player re-enters a game. Ataxia encompasses gross motor instability of the kind that Tua displayed when he got hit against the Bills. Moving on to the Broncos, quarterback Russell Wilson underwent a procedure on Friday in hopes of relieving discomfort near his throwing shoulder, which may be an explanation for his poor play in the last few weeks for an injury that's reportedly similar to the one that sidelined quarterback Dak Prescott for most of training camp last year for the Cowboys. Wilson went to L.A. on Friday, got a platelet-rich plasma injection for a strained latissimus dorsi. Apparently, that's an injury much more prevalent for Major League pitchers than it is for NFL quarterbacks. But Nathaniel Hackett, the Broncos head coach, said Wilson was sore after he dinged up the shoulder in last Sunday's loss to the Raiders. We'll see if he's able to continue forward without missing any games. And finally, suspended quarterback Deshaun Watson is permitted to return to the Cleveland Browns facility tomorrow. That means he'll be able to participate in lifting sessions, conditioning. He can attend meetings and be involved in game planning and preparation, but he can't throw with the team or attend practice until the middle of November.
There you have it. A look around the National Football League. And if you're looking for the MVP of the truck game, then look no further than Ford F-150. Loaded with impressive capabilities and designed to dominate work, play, and everything in between, this truck makes tough look easy. Your local Ford dealer, proud partner of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Wide receiver Zay Jones missed last week's game with an ankle injury, but he's back this week and ready for week number 5. It's a good opportunity for the team to reset on the practice field after last week's loss, as we heard from Zay in the locker room.
Just hit the reset button a little bit, come back to work, put some good stuff in, like the game plan so far. Guys, meshing and doing well. So we're just looking forward to kick off this week because it's going to be a great challenge for us, so we're excited.
You saw some miscues last week, of course, but understands that people think there could be more of an emphasis on getting them right now that there's a quarter of the season gone.
I don't think that would be wrong to assume that or to say that. I think that, when you do have those mistakes in the beginning or when you do have those mishaps, it's time to start piecing everything together, making everything clean. Football is not going to be a perfectly played game. Every single snap, we know that, but it's about minimizing those mistakes and not beating ourselves. That's going to give us the best chance in the long run. So I think there is that sense of urgency that we know what's in front of us, but at the same time, we focus on what we need to. I think this team will be all right.
Zay this week said it's a Jaguars wide receiver room with different skill sets and different personalities, of course, and Zay Jones fits right in there.
I think we have collectively as a group, as a wide receiver group, we have a great dynamic. We got people who are poised, who don't say much. We got people who are older and lead by example. We got guys who are younger and they have their little comments. We all kind of just collectively add to the group. You got to have balance for sure. And I think that we have just the right amount of ingredients in our room.
Fair to say that. And quarterback Trevor Lawrence had 5 turnovers last week, 4 fumbles lost. Jones said in the locker room this week it's a team-wide support group no matter what issue pops up, no matter the position.
That's the role of all of us, to support our teammates, to be there for one another. I truly believe in the strength in numbers, coming together. Just talk to Doug about the importance of coming together, like we're all each own island is what he kind of described it as, but when we can begin to combine that and come together, that's what makes us truly special. So whether it's picking up Christian, whether it's someone encouraging me because I'm out, or if I'm giving love and support the person next to me, that's what's needed for this team to be successful, and I think it's genuine on this team.
Deep Thoughts with Zay Jones and the visit in the locker room this week, available on Jaguars.com as well if you want to check out the entire conversation with the assembled media. He's back. He's coming off an ankle injury, Mike, and you can tell in this offense, hey, Christian Kirk might have a big day, and then they figure out a way to slow him down so Zay Jones has a decent day, or Evan Ingram can pop up and have some catches. If you're moving guys around, that's the idea of this offense, almost interchangeable parts.
To some degree, I think Christian Kirk is the one guy who's going to get his targets every week, and what Zay Jones' return does is allow Kirk to go back to the slot basically full-time here. You had Jamal Agnew playing out of there last week, and not that Kirk can't handle playing outside. It's just a different look. They're very creative, as we talked about earlier, in their play design so far this year, JP, and when you can line up Christian Kirk either in the backfield or in the slot, as they've done multiple times, coming out of the backfield as well, it's just tough for the defense to stick with him in the first 5 yards from the line of scrimmage, and you get those quick openings. You get the ball in his hands, let him run after the catch. Zay Jones coming off the career-best game against the Chargers, 10 catches for 85 yards and a touchdown, so I'd like to see a few more of those this year.
And then as we kind of rewind a little bit to the quarterback play, I think we talked about this earlier in the week on a show here on Jaguars.com or Jaguars Radio that, if it was 4 interceptions thrown the other way, you'd feel a whole lot worse. Yes, they're turnovers, but in terms of the quarterback play, seeing it down the field, I don't think there's any lost confidence there. He just didn't have an opportunity to see it down the field because he was fumbling the football away a lot.
Right, and as long as that doesn't become an ongoing problem, I don't think it's anything that's going to affect Trevor Lawrence's psyche, but you got to make sure it's not going to be an ongoing problem. Some guys have trouble with the ball in the pocket, just have, security issues because they hold it too low. He got caught doing that a little bit, and, he's a big guy. It shouldn't be an issue for him. The quarterback sneak, you got a wet football, you got a rookie center, and then the other one just flat out dropped in the wet conditions. So you're right. We'd all feel worse if they were interceptions, but, as long as it doesn't continue a pace, I think we're all going to be fine.
Yeah, just slow down that pace. Not 5 a game anymore. Let's be done with that starting today. How do you think they attack the Texans today?
Oh, I personally think you should attack them somewhat on the ground. Look, I get it. You throw to score, you run to win, and that may be the philosophy today. So I expect them to continue to be balanced. They are who they are. They're going to throw the football a lot, but certainly last week you had 16 carries in miserable conditions. I think you're going to get maybe, hopefully, in my estimation, double that out of James Robinson and Travis Etienne today.
There you have it, our conversation with Zay Jones, and coming up in about 15 minutes, Mike Dempsey, that's you, we'll have a fantasy forecast.
Okay.
Frank Frangie, that's him. He's up in the broadcast booth. We'll hear from him coming up as well. Up next, though, Inactives and a pregame Huddle Up podcast with Bucky Brooks and John Ogier. We're about an hour and a half away from kickoff in Week 5, the Houston Texans and the Jacksonville Jaguars. And from TIAA Bank Field, this is the Publix Tailgate Show on Jaguars Radio.
You're beyond busy. Between work and the kids, the dogs and the cat, let us help. With Publix Delivery powered by Instacart, you'll get the items you need from the store you know. Just shop online, select the time you'd like your order delivered, and grocery shopping is done, giving you more time to take care of everything else.
Publix Delivery, powered by Instacart. Visit Publix.com/delivery to shop now. That's Publix.com/delivery. Item prices vary from in-store prices. Service fees may apply. Available in select zip codes. Publix, where shopping is a pleasure.
Since 1916, Duval Motor Company is here to keep you and your vehicle off the sidelines. Their all-star lineup of dealerships provides superior sales, maintenance, and repairs for every make and model with Ford, Honda, Acura, Subaru, Chevrolet, and everything in between. At every Duval location across North Florida, Duval Motor Company always puts service first. In-store, online, or at your front door. Get service first with DuvalMotorCompany.com.
Cancer patients across the Southeast make Baptist MD Anderson Cancer Center in Jacksonville their first choice for treatment. Dr. Jonathan Milquist explains why.
We have so many resources that can help a patient from the very onset, and we just have a degree of unity and cohesive care that is hard to match. It's especially with the tougher cancers that we really excel.
Appointments available now. Call 844-632-2278.
At most sandwich places, asking for more of something is just part of the drill. But what if you never had to ask for more? What if more was just a given? At Daly's, more is what our sandwiches are built on. More meat, more cheese, more veggies, more quality, more taste. All for a price that's anything but more. Sandwiches from Dash, made fresh. Daly's.
When you show your home love with a natural gas water heater, it loves you right back with more cost-efficient, endless hot water.
Hon, hurry it up, please.
And right now, you'll love earning a cash rebate up to $700 when you install an energy-efficient natural gas water heater.
We're going to be late. Again.
What? Did you say something, hon?
To learn more and how to qualify, visit peoplesgas.com/rebates.
Yingling Traditional Lager. The beer for drinkers who know how to tap into their inner eagle and spread their wings. So prepare yourself for takeoff and let your night take flight.
Liftoff.
When your lips meet that cold, crisp amber lager, there's no looking back. So fly over the radar. Tonight's about the lager, and this lager is all about soaring higher. Yingling Traditional Lager. Spread your wings. DJ Yingling & Son, Pottsville, Pennsylvania. Please drink responsibly.
Jaguars Game Day Radio is brought to you by ViStar Credit Union. Do good, bank better. JP Shadrick with Mike Dempsey from TIAA Bank Field in Jacksonville. The Texans and the Jaguars coming up at 1 o'clock. And today's game is presented by Baptist Health and the Jacksonville Orthopedic Institute, the official sports medicine provider of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Let's get to the inactives for today's game. We'll start off with the Jacksonville Jaguars. The Jags have 6 players down. The first 5 have been down pretty much every game so far. Wide receiver Kendrick Pryor, running back Snoop Connor, safety Tyree Gillespie, cornerback Monteric Brown, outside linebacker Deshaun Dixon. But Foley Fatukasi is out today with a quad injury, unavailable, injured last week in the Philly game. He will not play. Corey Peters elevated from the practice squad, 13th-year veteran. He's been around the league, couple of different teams. And he will play on the interior, about 325 pounds today, Mike.
That's what they need, a big space eater who's been around the block, and that's exactly what they've got there. For the Texans, 7 guys listed as inactive today, including their second-year young tight end Brevin Jordan, wide receiver Chris Moore, the other player on offense. 2 defensive starters out today for Houston, Jonathan Greenard, the defensive end, along with linebacker Blake Cashman. The others who will not suit up, 3 defensive linemen, Thomas Booker, Austin DeCoulis, and Devon Harris, all out today for Houston.
All right, the inactives are in. The Jaguars and the Texans coming up in week number 5 at the bank. It's a beautiful day for football. And let's go back to the broadcast booth upstairs for a pregame live Huddle Up podcast. Bucky Brooks is with us. John Ozier's there, too. Good afternoon. Good morning, guys. How we doing?
Perfect intro. I'll let Bucky talk.
Good morning, Bucky.
What's up, fellas? What's happening?
What's up? Hey, ready for football? Divisional rivalry coming up. The Texans have won so many games in a row against the Jags, 8, and then like 14 of the last 16. They've dominated the recent series, but Bucky, it's a new era of Jaguars football. Different feel around here right now, and you got to go stop the slide at some point, and this feels like a team that can go do that.
Yeah, a team definitely can do it. Streaks are made to be broken. This team can't worry about what happened before this year. It's about a new year, new coaching staff, new team ready to get it done. Today, they got to take care of business. This, to me, is a game that is all about, like, the competitive maturity of the Jaguars. Can you beat a team that you're supposed to beat and beat them in the fashion in which you're supposed to beat them? That's what I'm looking for today. Can Doug Peterson get this team up and going to take care of business from the jump?
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. I was thinking this morning as I was thinking about what we would talk about in this show, and sometimes games, there's a lot to kind of break down, a lot of storylines. But to me, that's the overriding storyline of this game. The Jaguars, to me, haven't played a home game that the fans went in sort of thinking they should win, probably since the Jets in 2018. Remember, they had beaten the Patriots, and they kind of came out a couple weeks later and rolled the Jets, got to 3-1, and then it fell apart. But that's the last time. So 4 years, and I think this team's good. I think a lot of fans think they're good. This team thinks they're good. But if you're good, you win this kind of game at home, and they haven't faced this kind of thing in a while. So I think it is a big litmus test for maturity. I think it's the word Bucky used. The competitive maturity. Can they go out and do it? I'm waiting to see.
And, guys, it's a good opportunity, too, for Trevor Lawrence to kind of stake his claim as being the best, not only young quarterback, but quarterback in this division. And coming off a 5-turnover performance, you want to see an immediate bounce back. Do you think we'll get that today?
Go ahead, Becky.
Well, no, I mean, I think we get a bounce back. I think he certainly is a prideful player, and he understands, like, the mistakes and mess-ups that he had last week in Philadelphia and how costly they were when it comes to impacting the Jaguars' ability to win the game. And so I expect him to bounce back. I expect him to take it out on the Houston Texans. I think this team understands what they let slip through their fingers last week. And so when I talked to Josh Allen after the game, they talked about the division. Eyes were already on Houston. My expectation is that they're going to play a clean football game, and they're going to beat the Houston Texans down like they should.
Yeah, when Mike asked the question, I actually raised my eyebrows and said, he's right. This is a big game. I hadn't thought about it that way because I guess I'm assuming that what we saw last week was a rain, cold influence, a lot of fumbles. That felt like an aberration. But I think to Mike's point, if he comes out this today, has a couple of turnovers, looks shaky, then all of a sudden he's a shaky guy. And, yeah. And that's how it works. And for the team, I think it's the same thing. I think this team and Trevor, if you win this game, then all of a sudden you come out of Week 5 thinking, okay, they're the team that rolled the Colts and the Chargers. If you don't and you play bad, then you're a 2-3 team that we don't know about. And so I don't know that it nationally, I've said this before this week, I don't know if nationally this is a huge storyline game with a lot of sexy storylines. Mm-hmm. But for this franchise, people who follow this team closely, I think it's a really big game on those fronts.
Let me follow that up very quick, John.
It's your show.
After that, because remember, there was a lot of national attention heading into the Philadelphia week about this team, the Jaguars, being a team that could win a division. So you lose to Philadelphia, but you gain a little measure of respect because of the way the game went, even though it was messy from our vantage point.
But lose today, that Philadelphia game looks exactly
all
different.
Of that goes. All of that goes away, and they're like, yeah, it's the same old Jags. So it is big in terms of the step. Before you go from being a bad team, you got to be a good team. So to show the National Football League that you're a good team, you have to take care of these type games.
In that sense, it's almost like 2 or 3 games because it shows you how you'll feel about some of the other games, I think.
Bucky Brooks and John Oehser in the broadcast booth at TIAA Bank Field. This is a pregame Huddle Up podcast. Huddle Up runs Wednesdays at 4 o'clock on Jaguars.com. So is this a running attack today for the Jaguars? James Robinson, Travis Etienne, pound the rock? Bucky, what are you thinking?
No, I think it's a mix. I think Doug Peterson will talk about doing whatever you need to do to win the game. Even though we talk about the running game matters only in terms of the number of rushing attempts. We're not a dominant rushing team, meaning we're not at the top of the charts when it comes to trying to get 150 rushing yards. But the rushing attempts matter because it takes pressure off Trevor Lawrence, and it enhances the ability to do a play-action game, the bootleg game, the things that Trevor has done really, really well. So we need to be able to be consistent and persistent with the running game so we can set up the passing game, which is really the strength of the team. quick rhythm passes to a bunch of different playmakers who are able to collectively put together a great effort.
I think Doug would love to look at the end of the game and see 120 yards rushing. I don't think he necessarily cares about getting those in the first half, to your point. He doesn't want to come out. He's not going to turn. He's going to come out and have Trevor turning around and handing the ball 15 times to James Robinson in the first half.
Yeah.
I think he would like to be doing that at the end of the third quarter and in the fourth quarter. He likes to say throw to score and run to win.
Yeah.
I think that's how he'd like to get it. He would love to be effective that way. But look, this just isn't going to be a ground and pound team. I mean, it's we can talk about during the week how they should have, could have, whatever, run more. That's not what he's going to be in that sense.
No, he's going to run the game through the quarterback. I mean, let's be honest. Like, when you look at and assess the roster, the quarterback is supposed to be, on this team, he's supposed to be the best player. And so typically it's always players over plays. Best player versus the best plays you want to get to. But for Trevor Lawrence to take the pressure off of him, the running game has to be a viable threat because it changes the way the defense defends the Jaguars' offense. When you run the ball, you get more single high safety looks. It's easier to pass against teams that are geared to stop the run as opposed to sitting to teams that are sitting in two high safety looks and daring the Jaguars to run the ball.
Right. Doug doesn't care if he runs well, but he wants the Texans to think he can run well.
Absolutely. That's the thing. It's a trick.
And let's be honest. I mean, this franchise has not had the type of quarterback play to be able to lean on the quarterback play to lead the way. So they've had to run the football to move things down the field, Mike.
Well, they have. And you think the Texans probably want to do that as well with Dameon Pierce guys, but Brandon Cooks has really hurt the Jaguars in the past. Why might today be different?
Well, I mean, it'd only be different if the guys on the outside play different. Shaq Griffin and Tyson Campbell, they had to put on their big boy pants today because that's what it comes down to. Because if the Jaguars pride themselves in being a physical football team that stops the run, well, to stop the run against a team that is committed to running, that means you got to leave your corners out there on the island one-on-one without help. And so Shaq Griffin and Tyson Campbell have to play without assistance. They can't look for Cisco and those guys to help. They got to be able to own it on their own. So now you can commit Rayshawn Jenkins and Cisco to the running game to make sure we're playing 9-on-7 against the Texans run. You want to take the run away and make Davis Mills have to be a passer in obvious passing situations.
Yeah, it's why it's his show. That was really well said. That's perfect. And then when you get pass rush opportunities, you need to get home on this guy because Davis Mills has, 4 picks this year?
Yeah.
He's not playing as well as he did late when he was playing very, very well last year. Get some pressure on him and get a pick, get ahead where Brandon Cooks can't hurt you as much.
Absolutely.
Sounds like a pretty good game plan right there. I'll take that pretty much every week if they could get that done. Hey, it's Legends Weekend, Bucky, and I know you've been around here the last couple days. So how did it go? How's it to see all of the former teammates and everybody back around?
So it's cool. I stopped by the tailgate on the way up to the press box, and it's so great seeing so many of the guys back. Adrian told me there are about 45 legends that are in town attending the game. They'll get a chance to see Tony get his ring at halftime. So, look, it's fun. We talk about the franchise kind of having a new era. As the team kind of grows and kind of regains, restores the prominence, restores the brand, you'll see more players come back. And so it's a great opportunity. This is I would say the first step towards bringing all of that back, watching Tony get his ring, but then having everybody come back and watch this game, which hopefully ends up in a win.
What do you think, Johnny, seeing all these guys back around?
I love Legends Weekend. I had a chance last night to see the Tony Baselli documentary that our team put together. It was outstanding. I ran into Reggie Barlow, who I hadn't seen in years, wide receiver.
My guy, Ballou.
Great guy. Now the coach, XFL, Coach Washington. But overall, when people get a chance to see the Baselli documentary, it's outstanding. And it's a great weekend and sort of a great symbol of that weekend, I guess you said.
All right, guys. Well done as always. John Ozier, have a great day doing whatever it is you do in the press box.
I'll figure something out.
Bucky, we'll hear from you on the sideline throughout. Appreciate it, guys.
All right, man. We'll talk to you guys.
Bucky Brooks and John Ozier out of here. It's a pregame Huddle Up podcast. And, yes, we love each other. It's every Wednesday at 4 o'clock on Jaguars.com and Jaguars social media. That's 4 o'clock, as we said. Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube, the Jaguars social media channels. We're inside 20 minutes from Jaguars Radio Network coverage. Countdown to kickoff coming up at noon. when we return a fantasy forecast. And we'll go to the broadcast booth with Frank Frangie. The Texans and Jaguars coming up at 1 o'clock. And this is the Publix Tailgate Show on Jaguars Radio.
You're beyond busy. Between work and the kids, the dogs and the cat, let us help. With Publix Delivery powered by Instacart, you'll get the items you need from the store you know. Just shop online, select the time you'd like your order delivered, and grocery shopping is done, giving you more time to take care of everything else.
Publix Delivery, powered by Instacart. Visit Publix.com/delivery to shop now. That's Publix.com/delivery. Item prices vary from in-store prices. Service fees may apply. Available in select zip codes. Publix, where shopping is a pleasure.
You say there's nothing quite like the feel of the open road when you ride a motorcycle. You know it takes concentration, knowledge, and skills beyond those required to drive a car. Ride Smart Florida would like to take this opportunity to remind you to enjoy the road, but to always ride smart. S-M-A-R-T. Say no to drinking and riding. Make yourself more visible to motorists. Always wear your helmet. Ride in control. Train regularly and get endorsed. Visit RideSmartFlorida.com for more details. Do you ride smart? This message is provided by the Florida Department of Transportation.
Frank Frangie here. When you want barbecue in Jacksonville, you want Bono's Pit Barbecue. You can find Bono's locations all around town and on game day at TIAA Bank Field because Bono's is the official barbecue of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Bono's is currently expanding its brand with franchise opportunities throughout the Southeast and beyond. Over 70 years of authentic Southern Pit barbecue and owning your own business are a great combo. Go to bonosbarbq.com to learn more or call 904-880-8310 today. And remember, if you don't see a pit, it ain't legit.
The Land Rover Defender story began with the simple thought of creating an exceptionally capable off-road vehicle, becoming the go-anywhere, do-anything all-terrain machine. Today, there's a new Land Rover Defender, the toughest and most advanced Land Rover vehicle ever. From the beginning, Land Rover knew the new Defender was capable of great things. Motor Trend's 2021 SUV of the Year is just the latest example. Test drive the new Land Rover Defender today at Land Rover Jacksonville on Atlantic Boulevard, or go to LandRoverJacksonville.com. Land Rover, above and beyond.
At most sandwich places, asking for more of something is just part of the drill. But what if you never had to ask for more? What if more was just a given? At Daly's, more is what our sandwiches are built on. More meat, more cheese, more veggies, more quality, more taste. All for a price that's anything but more. Sandwiches from Dash. Made fresh. Dailies.
Feeling hungry, Jaguars fans? Fuel your Duval energy with a delicious Stallmeyer all-beef hot dog on game day as you support your Jacksonville Jaguars. Whether you're at the game or at home, it's not game day without a Stallmeyer all-beef hot dog made in Florida. Stallmeyer all-beef hot dogs will fuel your energy to help bring on a victory for the Jacksonville Jaguars. Stallmeyer all-beef hot dogs are available at your local Publix supermarkets. Don't feel hungry, Jaguars fans. Fuel your energy with the official hot dog of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Stallmeyer.
This is the Publix Tailgate Show. Publix, where shopping is a pleasure. We continue from TIAA Bank Field in Jacksonville. It's Week 5. The Houston Texans and the Jacksonville Jaguars coming up at 1 o'clock. JP Shadrick with Mike Dempsey. We're in the Jaguars Radio Network studio. Network coverage coming up at the top of the hour with countdown to kickoff. It's time now, Mike Dempsey, for a Week 5 fantasy forecast.
Yeah, and somehow, inexplicably, the Giants are still in this game with the Packers despite not having their top 4 wide receivers and now losing Saquon Barkley in this game. So, yes, fantasy managers, he went down on his shoulder after 12 carries for 68 yards. Questionable to return to this game, so keep an eye on that. Matt Breida would be the hot waiver wire pickup this week if Barkley is expected to miss any time. Aaron Rodgers has thrown a couple of touchdowns in this one, including one to Mercedes Lewis. All right, on the early slate of games, some key inactives to be aware of today, in addition to Michael Thomas and Jameis Winston, who we knew were not going to suit up for the New Orleans Saints. Jarvis Landry also not playing today for New Orleans, although Alvin Kamara is active after being a Sunday morning scratch last week. We know Kyle Pitts has been ruled out for the Atlanta Falcons. David Montgomery said to give it a go today. He's going to try, that doesn't give me a whole lot of confidence that he's going to be able to make it through a full game for the Chicago Bears. So if you've got an alternative that you could pivot to off of David Montgomery, I would probably do that. And it also lessens the value of Khalil Herbert in your lineup if Montgomery and Herbert end up splitting carries. Isaiah McKenzie also ruled out for the Buffalo Bills. He's been dealing with a concussion. Some games in the afternoon window and the players you need to be aware of there. San Fran at Carolina. Rookie running back Tyrion Davis-Price remains out for the 49ers, as does left tackle Trent Williams. They continue to miss time as the Jeff Wilson show tries to get cranked up again in that backfield for San Francisco. Laviska Shenault, the former Jaguar, after being inactive for the first couple games of the season, played in Week 3, caught a long touchdown, and promptly hurt his hamstring. That will keep him out of today's matchup with the 49ers. Dallas and the L.A. Rams, couple of key players for the Cowboys to watch out for when the inactives are announced later this afternoon. CeeDee Lamb and Tony Pollard, both questionable, although both reportedly will try to give it a go today. And then you've got Philadelphia and Arizona also in that 4 o'clock window. Boston Scott is questionable to play. If he does play, just a few less touches for Miles Sanders and Kenneth Gainwell in that backfield. Rondale Moore questionable to go for Arizona at wide receiver, although they will have A.J. Green back in the fold. And then Sunday Night Football tonight, T. Higgins and Hayden Hurst of the Bengals, both listed as questionable, both expected to be able to go for Cincinnati. Not the case for Rashad Bateman on the other side, or Justice Hill for the Ravens. Bateman, their number one wide receiver, and Hill, one of their backup running backs, already ruled out for Sunday Night Football.
There you have it, a Week 5 fantasy forecast, thorough as usual. Let's go back to the broadcast booth for the Frangie File. A visit with Jaguars play-by-play announcer Frank Frangie on a picture-perfect Chamber of Commerce day in Jacksonville, Frank. It's a division rivalry that the Jaguars have not won in a while. It'd be a nice day to stop the slide against the Texans.
Boy, it would, JP. Good morning to you and Mike, and you said it. What a gorgeous day here. It's been a gorgeous weekend. Ever since the bad weather went through a week or two ago, it has been absolutely spectacular. And you're right, on a special day for our friend Tony Baselli, and a Legends weekend and a gorgeous day, and a game you should win. It'd be a good day to get one, and I feel good about the Jags today.
Yeah, and Frank, let's not forget the Texans did the Jaguar organization a solid by taking Tony in the expansion draft. So he kind of played for two teams, although he never suited up for the Texans in the regular season. So the perfect occasion to honor him today. But, Frank, it's just, for you, you've covered this team since their inception. When you see all these former greats come back into town for the weekend, what is that like?
That's a great question, Mike. It touches you, doesn't it? Because it's been a cool franchise. I'm born and raised in the city, and it took a long time for us to have something as special as the Jacksonville Jaguars. And to see all the guys that have been so much a part of this 27, 28-year heritage, Mike, is a big deal to me. It's a big deal to all the people. I can see the look on – Tony was in here earlier visiting with you guys. The look on Tony's face, Jeff's face, when so many of their old teammates were here. That's who it really resonates with. The fans for sure, Mike, but it resonates with these players who that's a brotherhood, man, and seeing them and the pep in their step. This has been a cool deal, and I like the fact that this is the day that I think the Jags are going to win the game, have the better team, have a very positive direction, but it's a special time to have it. You're right about that.
I saw a Texans executive in the hallway earlier, Frank, and he said to me that he talked to Tony and was like, of all weeks, you have to do that this week?
That's right.
Get your ring against the Texans?
Yeah. Like the deck's not stacked against them enough. No, you're right. You're right. If you're the opposing team, you're thinking, great.
Yeah.
No, I hear you. But I tell you what, the guys, I was thinking about this too. How long has it been, and this is because of the struggles of our franchise here, how long has it been since the Jags showed up, the fans showed up, with the confidence level that you're the better team, and if you don't mess it up, you win the game? It's been maybe early 18, I guess, but there haven't been a lot of moments like that, have there?
No, there have not. And a lot of reason for that is just obviously the change in not enough quarterback play, not enough high-level quarterback play, and changes there, changes in the coaching staff, a lot of changing personnel, and the end of that 2017-18 run collapsed, and so did the organization, and they've had to rebuild it a couple times since then. But now it feels like they have, Frank, and it starts with a quarterback. So 5 turnovers last week, interception in the red zone, 4 lost fumbles, a league record from one player. Bounce-back ability for Trevor. I'm curious what it is today. I really don't have any question he will bounce back. It's just a matter of how much today.
JP, I think young players are going to have the last thing that comes is consistency. And that's a cliche, I know it, but I do believe it. I think the last thing that comes is consistency with these guys. Trevor's going to be fine. I think the weather bothered him. I think the first fumble, when he knocked the ball out of his own hands, when it looked like he was going to convert the fourth down, probably got in his head a little bit. I mean, he just turned 23 this week, you know. So I think young players are going to have ups and downs. It's not the last bad game he's going to have. But I'm like you. I think there's going to be far more good games, and I'm not worried about where Trevor Lawrence heads in his career. I'm really not. Beautiful day today. Remember, he didn't have a very good game the first game and really bounced back wonderfully game 2. I think you're going to see that again today. I really do.
Hey, Frank, Houston is among the top 10 teams in terms of sacks allowed this year. And, you know, the pressure has been there for the Jags, but it hasn't always resulted in sacks. Does that change today?
No, I think they're going to get some sacks today. The first thing with anybody, and again, Mike, I apologize, it's another cliche, you got to stop the run, but you really do with this team. They think they found something with Dameon Pierce. They're not great at the other spots yet. They've got young receivers other than Brandon Cooks. They've got kind of journeymen out there. Obviously, Davis Mills is trying to win the job this year because if he doesn't, they got a bunch of draft picks and they're going to draft somebody next year. So this is kind of his audition or his second audition season. I think if you stop the run, and I think the Jags will, even without Foley Fatukasi, I think you make them throw off schedule. I think you're going to see some sacks. I think not just good pressures and not just hurries. Mike, I think you're going to see sacks today. I do.
Sacks sound pretty good for the Jaguars.
Stacks of sacks.
Yeah, sacks on sacks on sacks for the Jaguars defense today. Frank, have a great call, and we'll talk to you a little later.
Okay, fellas, thank you.
Frank Frangie, the voice of the Jaguars, joining us from the broadcast booth. And the Jags have the Texans today in Week 5. And, yeah, here we go. The Foley Fatukasi down today, Mike. So Corey Peters steps up in that middle of that defensive line, and he'll be the starter in base situations, sounds like. So there you go. He's going to get out there and play. He's been in the league for a long time. But, yeah, stop the run, set up the pass rush. Let's see Trayvon Walker get loose again. Josh Allen needs to get it going also. And they've had moments this year, but let's see it consistently moving forward.
Look, on paper, you're the better team. Just play like it, right? Just play like it. I mean, and you look at this track record against Houston, it's horrible. And quite frankly, the Jags have been pretty bad as a football team most of those matchups. And despite that, we still thought they'd handle their business last year. Didn't happen. I do feel things are different this time around, but you got to go out and prove it, JP. We've talked this talk for a while now. The Jags were talking the talk after the game last week that they felt like they were the better team than Philadelphia. Well, if that's the case, you got to go out and win this one today.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And if you say something like that, you better go prove it the next week. And this is a perfect week to go do it. And we've talked about it already today. It's obviously a divisional game. It's printed on the wall in the hallway outside the locker room, the schedule of the opponents in the AFC South. They know the magnitude of this game and understand that, yes, it's another week, but it's really not. It's an AFC South game. You win today, 2-0 in the division. And next week in Indy, if you can go up there and play well against the Colts, 3-0 would go a long way to determining their fate in the playoffs.
Oh, you kidding? That'd be fantastic, right? And we'll worry about the Titans later on in the season, but let's worry about the Colts next week. Let's get the Texans today. I think they will, but they got to do it.
You're saying don't put the cart before the horse.
And we're 2-2, okay?
First place, though.
Let's
Come
get
on,
to 3-2.
All right, let's do that today. The Jaguars and the Texans coming up. Jaguars Radio Network coverage is right around the corner. Countdown to kickoff. Some more top stories of the day. We'll hear from Fred Taylor and the final word before kickoff with head coach Doug Peterson. Kickoff in just over an hour. Thanks for listening to the Publix Tailgate Show on Jaguars Radio.
You're beyond busy. Between work and the kids, the dogs and the cat, let us help. With Publix Delivery powered by Instacart, you'll get the items you need from the store you know. Just shop online, select the time you'd like your order delivered, and grocery shopping is done, giving you more time to take care of everything else.
Publix Delivery, powered by Instacart. Visit Publix.com/delivery to shop now. That's Publix.com/delivery. Item prices vary from in-store prices. Service fees may apply. Available in select zip codes. Publix, where shopping is a pleasure.
You've been putting back a few, and a few becomes a few too many. For a moment, you think of calling for a ride, but nah, you live nearby. What's the worst that could happen? You get pulled over, your insurance goes up, you lose your license, you total your car, you kill someone. The results of driving drunk are tragic. That's why law enforcement is out there looking for impaired drivers to save lives. So if you think you're okay to drive after a few drinks, think again. Drive sober or get pulled over.
Paid for by FDOT. Want to make sure he gets to the game on time?
Tommy, your uniform is ready. Let's go.
Install a natural gas dryer, and you're guaranteed faster drying times and softer laundry. And now you can earn a valuable cash rebate up to $200 on an energy-efficient natural gas dryer. Show your home love with natural gas, and it loves you right back. To learn more and how to qualify, visit peoplesgas.com/rebates.
Since 1916, Duval Motor Company is here to keep you and your vehicle off the sidelines. Their all-star lineup of dealerships provides superior sales, maintenance, and repairs for every make and model with Ford, Honda, Acura, Subaru, Chevrolet, and everything in between. At every Duval location across North Florida, Duval Motor Company always puts service first. In-store, online, or at your front door. Get service first with DuvalMotorCompany.com.
The creamiest, dreamiest soft ice cream you get from Mr. Softee. For refreshing delight supreme, look for Mr. Softee. The milkshakes and the sundaes and the cones are such a treat. Look out for the ice cream stand, enjoy it from your seat. The creamiest, dreamiest soft ice cream you get from Mr. Softee. For refreshing delight supreme, look for Mr. Softee. SOFTEE, Mr. Softee.
Cancer patients across the Southeast make Baptist MD Anderson Cancer Center in Jacksonville their first choice for treatment. Dr. Jonathan Milquist explains why.
We have so many resources that can help a patient from the very onset, and we just have a degree of unity and cohesive care that is hard to match. It's especially with the tougher cancers that we really excel.
Appointments available now. Call 844-632-2278.